The 9-year-old girl stood barefoot in the freezing parking lot at 4:47 a.m., blood still wet on her yellow dress, holding a crumpled $20 bill she'd stolen from the man who wouldn't stop hurting her mother. She didn't know the leather-clad giant watching from across the street had already made a decision that would put 80 armed bikers between her and every demon hunting her family. She didn't know Logan Mitchell carried a daughter's ghost in every scar covering his arms. She only knew the lemonade stand her mother built before the cancer came back was the last promise she could keep. And when the first Harley engine roared to life in the darkness, Emily Parker learned that some protectors arrive sounding like thunder. If you stay until the end, you'll understand why an entire town tried to destroy a little girl's hope, and why the most dangerous men in California refused to let them. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. You won't believe where this story goes. The pre-dawn cold bit through Emily Parker's thin dress like glass shards. Her feet, bare against cracked asphalt still holding yesterday's heat, had gone numb somewhere between her apartment stairs and the corner lot where her mother's lemonade stand sat crooked beneath a burned-out streetlight. The stand looked smaller in the dark, sadder. Just plywood and paint her mother had scraped together 3 months ago when the medical bills started swallowing their rent money whole. Emily clutched the $20 bill tighter. Blood had dried brown against the green ink. Not her blood, his blood. The man who came every Thursday night when her mother was too weak from chemotherapy to fight back. The man who smelled like whiskey and left bruises shaped like fingerprints. The man whose nose had broken surprisingly easy when Emily swung her mother's iron skillet with both hands while he was busy not noticing a 9-year-old hiding behind the bathroom door. She'd taken the money from his wallet while he was choking on his own blood. Seemed fair. The streetlight above flickered once, twice, then died completely. Emily didn't move. Couldn't move. Her legs had stopped obeying somewhere around the 3rd block. She stood in the parking lot darkness, shaking, still holding the stolen 20, wondering if this was what drowning felt like, wondering if anyone would even notice when she finally went under. Across the street, a shadow shifted. Logan Mitchell had been watching the girl for 11 minutes. He'd parked his Harley 2 blocks away, killed the engine, walked the rest on foot because something about the way she moved, that hollow, mechanical shuffle, had triggered every combat instinct he'd spent 15 years trying to bury. He knew that walk, seen it in Kandahar, seen it in the mirror every morning since his daughter stopped returning his calls. The girl was in shock, shut down, running on fumes and adrenaline and whatever dark fuel kept small bodies moving when the soul had already checked out. He recognized the dress, seen her wearing it at the lemonade stand last week when he'd stopped for a cup on his way through Hollister. Bright yellow. Sunflowers printed across the fabric. Her mother had been there then, thin and pale and coughing into a dish towel, while the girl worked the stand alone, making change, pouring cups, smiling at strangers with a desperate brightness that made Logan's chest ache. The dress wasn't bright anymore. Dark stains covered the front, the kind of stains that told a story Logan didn't want to read. He stepped into the streetlight's dead glow. Emily saw him and didn't run. That was the first red flag. Children ran from men like Logan Mitchell, 6'4", 240, covered in ink and scar tissue, leather vest carrying patches that made cops reach for their service weapons. Children saw the road dust and the hard miles and the violence written across every visible inch of skin, and they ran. This girl just stood there, barefoot, shaking, holding blood money like a shield that had already failed. "Stand's closed," she said. Her voice came out flat. Dead. 9 years old and already practicing the 1,000-yard stare Logan knew too well. He stopped 10 feet away. Close enough to help. Far enough not to crowd. "Wasn't looking for lemonade." "Then you're lost." "Maybe." Logan kept his hands visible, non-threatening. The way the VA counselor had taught him before he stopped going to those sessions. "You hurt?" "No." "That your blood?" "No." "Whose is it?" Emily's jaw tightened. For a second, something fierce flickered behind the shock, something that hadn't quite drowned yet. Someone who had it coming. Logan believed her. He'd seen enough violence to recognize the difference between victim and perpetrator, and this girl was running on pure survival instinct. Whatever had happened, she'd been defending something. Someone. "Your mom inside?" The fierce thing in Emily's eyes guttered, went dark. She's sleeping. Chemo makes her tired. She know you're out here? She doesn't need to know everything. Logan understood that logic. The math children did when they realized their parents were too broken to carry any more weight, when they started carrying it themselves, even when the load was 10 times too heavy for their small shoulders. He'd watched his own daughter do the same thing after the divorce. After he came back from deployment, more ghost than father. After she stopped calling him dad and started calling him Logan, then stopped calling altogether. He crouched down, brought himself to Emily's eye level. Her pupils were blown wide. Shock, probably. Maybe concussion. Definitely trauma stacking on top of trauma until the foundation cracked. That money in your hand, Logan said quietly, it's going to bring trouble. Already got trouble. This is different trouble. The kind that comes with badges and questions you can't answer without making everything worse. Emily looked at the $20 bill. The blood had smeared across Benjamin Franklin's face, making him look like he was bleeding too. My mom needs her medication. I can't pay for it without money. Stealing from bad men doesn't make the money clean. Nothing's clean anymore. Emily's voice cracked. Just for a second. Just enough to show the 9-year-old girl still trapped inside the shock. Nothing's been clean since the cancer came back. Logan felt something shift inside his chest. The same thing that had cracked open last week when he'd stopped at this lemonade stand and seen this girl working alone, making change, pouring cups, holding together something that should have been an adult's job. The same thing that made him turn his bike around and come back tonight instead of riding straight through to the clubhouse like he'd planned. The same thing that had been broken since his daughter was 9 years old, and he'd been too busy being a soldier to notice she needed a father. How long's the stand been running? He asked. 3 months? Since Mom got too sick to work at the diner. How much you make? Enough. Emily straightened slightly, pride bleeding through the shock. Enough to keep the lights on. Enough to keep the landlord from evicting us. Enough to prove I'm not useless. That word, useless, hit Logan like shrapnel. He knew that word, carried it himself. The weight children shouldn't have to carry, but did anyway because the adults in their lives had failed them so completely that even a 9-year-old could see the math didn't add up. You're not useless, Logan said. Meant it. You're a fighter. Fighting doesn't pay rent. No, but it keeps you breathing long enough to find another way. Emily stared at him, really looked at him for the first time, saw past the leather and the ink and the reputation. Saw something else. Something broken in the same way she was broken. Something that understood what it meant to hold together pieces that didn't fit anymore. You're not here for lemonade, she said again, but this time it was a question. No, Logan admitted. I'm here because I saw a girl standing alone in the dark holding blood money, and I couldn't keep riding. Why not? Because I got a daughter about your age, and I wasn't there when she needed someone to stop. The words came out before Logan could stop them. Truth he hadn't spoken out loud since the divorce papers arrived, since his ex-wife told him that being a hero overseas didn't make him a father at home, since his daughter stopped answering his calls and started sending his letters back unopened. Emily processed this, calculated something behind those blown pupils. You want to fix me because you couldn't fix her. Smart kid, too smart. The kind of smart that came from growing up too fast in a world that didn't leave room for childhood. I want to help you, Logan said carefully, because nobody helped me when I was drowning, and I know what that cost. What it cost. Everything that mattered. Emily looked at the lemonade stand, the crooked plywood, the hand-painted sign her mother had made before the cancer spread, the folding table that wobbled every time someone set down a cup, the dream that had already died but kept shambling forward because stopping meant admitting defeat, and neither Emily nor her mother knew how to do that yet. I don't need saving, she said. Everybody needs saving. Logan stood, kept his distance. Question is whether you're stubborn enough to accept help when it shows up. Help always comes with a price. Yeah, it does. Logan didn't lie to her, didn't pretend the world was softer than it actually was. But sometimes the price is just letting someone give a damn whether you make it through tomorrow. Emily's grip on the $20 bill loosened, just slightly. What kind of help? The kind that keeps bad men from coming back. The kind that makes sure your mom gets her medication. The kind that gives you one less thing to carry alone. You don't even know me. Don't need to know you to recognize when someone's drowning. Silence stretched between them. Cold wind cut through the parking lot, carrying the smell of diesel and night-blooming jasmine and something darker underneath. Blood, fear, desperation. Emily shivered. The adrenaline was wearing off. Shock was settling in harder. Logan could see her starting to fold inward, the way soldiers did after firefights, when the body finally realized it was supposed to be scared. He pulled off his leather jacket. Heavy thing. Worn soft from a decade of road miles. Smelled like motor oil and cigarette smoke, and the kind of violence that left marks but didn't apologize for them. "Take this," he said, holding it out. Emily stared at the jacket like it might bite her. "Why?" "Because you're freezing, and because that dress has blood on it, and if anyone sees you like this, they're going to ask questions that'll put you in a system that doesn't give a damn about keeping families together." She took the jacket, pulled it around her shoulders. It swallowed her whole. Made her look even smaller, even more lost. Logan felt his phone buzz. Club business. Bull Cordell, the chapter president, probably wondering where the hell he was. They had a run scheduled for tomorrow. Guns moving through the desert, the kind of work that kept the club solvent, but made every interaction with law enforcement a potential disaster. He ignored the phone. "You got someone you trust?" Logan asked. "Someone who can get your mom's medication while you clean up?" Emily shook her head. "Mom doesn't have friends anymore. Cancer scared them all away." Another truth that landed like a gut punch. Logan had seen that too. The way communities abandoned people the moment their problems got messy. The way neighbors crossed streets to avoid eye contact. The way help evaporated the second it required actual sacrifice. "Then you got me," Logan said. "I don't know you. No. But I know what happens to girls who stand alone in parking lots at 5 a.m. covered in blood. And I know you don't want to find out." Emily looked at him for a long moment, calculating, weighing odds, making the kind of impossible choice 9-year-olds shouldn't have to make, but did anyway because the world didn't stop being brutal just because you were small. "If I let you help," she said slowly, "what do you want in return?" "Nothing you're thinking." Logan kept his voice level. "I'm not that kind of man." "Everyone's that kind of man if the price is right." "Not everyone." Logan met her eyes. Let her see the truth there. "Some of us got enough ghosts already. Don't need to add more." Emily studied his face, searching for the lie, the angle, the trap that was always waiting underneath offers that sounded too good to be true. She didn't find it. "Okay," she said finally, quietly, like she was stepping off a cliff and hoping someone had bothered to put a net below. "Okay?" Logan felt something settle in his chest. Not peace, not redemption. Just the smallest easing of pressure, the way a tourniquet loosened one notch before the bleeding started again. "First thing," he said, "we get you cleaned up. Second thing, we get your mom's medication. Third thing, we make sure the man who bled on your dress doesn't come back." "How are you going to do that?" "Same way I do everything." Logan pulled out his phone, sent a text to Bull. 3 words. "Need the club. I'm going to make some noise." 30 minutes later, Emily Parker stood in a truck stop bathroom 3 blocks from her apartment, scrubbing blood out of her yellow dress, while Logan Mitchell made phone calls that would change everything. The bathroom smelled like industrial cleaner and defeat. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting everything in sickly green. Emily worked the fabric under cold water, watching red spiral down the drain, trying not to think about how easy it had been to hurt someone. How the skillet had felt in her hands. How his nose had crumpled like paper. How good it had felt to make him stop. Logan's jacket hung on the door hook. Too big. Too heavy. Smelling like roads Emily had never traveled and places she'd never see. She wanted to bury herself in it. Wanted to disappear into the leather and never come back out. The door opened. Logan stepped inside without knocking, carrying a plastic bag from the convenience store. He set it on the sink counter. "Got you clean clothes, jeans and a sweatshirt. They'll be big, but better than walking around in that." Emily didn't ask how he knew her size. Didn't want to know how many other broken girls he'd helped, how many other parking lots he'd stopped in, how many other daughters he was trying to fix by proxy. "The club's coming," Logan said, leaned against the wall, crossed his arms, looked tired in a way that went bone deep. 80 riders. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Emily's hand stilled in the sink. Why? Because I asked, and because when one of us calls, the rest answer. You don't owe me that. Maybe not. Logan's jaw tightened. But I owe somebody. Might as well be you. Emily pulled the dress out of the water. The blood was mostly gone, just faint pink stains left, ghosts of violence that would never fully wash clean. She wrung it out, water running between her fingers, and felt something crack inside her chest. I killed him, she whispered. Logan straightened. What? The man. I hit him with the skillet. He stopped moving. I took his wallet and left him on the kitchen floor, and I don't know if he's dead, but I didn't check and I didn't care, and now... Her voice broke. The shock was wearing off. Reality was flooding in. Now I don't know what I am. Logan crossed the bathroom in 2 steps, crouched down, looked Emily in the eyes with an intensity that made her breath catch. You're a survivor, he said, voice rough as gravel. You're a girl who did what she had to do to protect her mother. That's all. That's everything. What if I liked it? The words came out small, scared. What if part of me wanted him to hurt? Then you're human. Logan didn't flinch, didn't look away. We all got that part. The part that wants to hurt the people who hurt us. Difference is whether you let it run the show or just acknowledge it's there and keep moving anyway. Emily felt tears building, hot and sharp. She'd been holding them back since the moment the skillet connected, since the moment she saw blood, since the moment she realized she was capable of violence just like every man who'd ever hurt her mother. I'm scared, she admitted. Good. Means you're still human. Means you haven't crossed the line all the way yet. What line? The one where you stop feeling anything at all. Logan stood, offered his hand. Emily took it. His grip was rough, calloused, steady in a way nothing else had been steady in 3 months, maybe longer. Get dressed, he said. We got work to do. Sat. The Harleys arrived like rolling thunder. Emily heard them before she saw them. Deep rumble of engines echoing through Hollister's empty streets. 80 bikes moving in formation, headlights cutting through pre-dawn darkness, chrome flashing under streetlights like war paint. They pulled into the parking lot where the lemonade stand sat and killed their engines one by one. Silence dropped like a hammer. Then boots on asphalt. Leather creaking. The soft click of kickstands settling. Emily stood beside Logan, drowning in his jacket, wearing convenience store jeans rolled up 6 times and a sweatshirt that hung to her knees. She watched the bikers dismount and form a loose circle around the stand. Big men, scarred men, men carrying violence in every line of their bodies, men who looked at her and saw something worth protecting. Bull Cordell stepped forward. Chapter President. Late 50s, gray beard, eyes like flint. He'd done 2 tours in Vietnam before the war ended, and 3 more in the kind of conflicts that didn't make the news. His leather vest carried patches from a dozen dead brothers. His hands carried scars from 100 fights. He looked at Emily, then at Logan, then back at Emily. This the girl? His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Yeah, Logan said. She hurt? Not physically. Bull nodded, processed that, turned to the assembled riders. Anyone got a problem helping a kid? Speak now or get back on your bike. Nobody moved. Good. Bull looked at Emily. What's your name, little sister? Emily's throat closed. Nobody had called her sister in 3 years. Not since her father died. Not since it became just her and Mom against the world. Emily, she managed. Emily, I'm Bull. These are my brothers. And starting right now, you're under club protection. That means nobody hurts you. Nobody touches your mother. Nobody even looks at you wrong without answering to 80 very motivated individuals. Understood? Emily nodded. Couldn't speak. The magnitude of what was happening was too big, too impossible. Logan says you got a medical situation, Bull continued. Your mom needs medication. That right? Yes, sir. Don't sir me. I work for a living. Bull pulled a worn wallet from his vest, counted out $500 bills, handed them to Emily. That's for medication. Logan's going to take you to the pharmacy when it opens. Anyone asks questions, you tell them it's a gift from your uncle. Emily stared at the money. I can't. You can. You will. Bull's tone left no room for argument. And when your mom's stable, we're going to have a conversation about that lemonade stand, because I'm thinking 80 bikers showing up every Saturday for overpriced lemonade might solve your rent problem real quick. Something inside Emily broke. Not bad breaking. The kind that let light through. The kind that meant maybe she didn't have to carry everything alone anymore. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Bull looked at Logan. Something passed between them. Understanding, shared history. The kind of bond forged in places where weakness got you killed and showing up for your brothers was the only law that mattered. "Because Logan asked," Bull said simply, "and because we've been monsters long enough. Time we tried being something else." The sun started rising, pink and gold spilling across the horizon. Hollister waking up to find 80 Harleys parked around a 9-year-old girl's lemonade stand like iron sentries guarding something precious. Emily looked at Logan, at Bull, at the assembled riders who'd dropped everything to answer a call for a girl they'd never met. And she understood something her mother had been trying to teach her for 3 months. Sometimes the most dangerous-looking people were the safest places to fall. "Thank you," she said. Bull nodded. "Don't thank us yet, little sister. Town's going to lose its mind when they see this. And when they do, things are going to get real complicated real fast." He wasn't wrong. By 8 a.m., police cruisers lined the street. By 9, news vans had arrived. By 10, the mayor's office was fielding calls from terrified residents demanding to know why a motorcycle gang had occupied a residential area. And by noon, someone had called Child Protective Services. The war for Emily Parker's soul had begun. The Child Protective Services investigator arrived in a gray sedan that looked too clean for Hollister's dusty streets. She stepped out carrying a leather briefcase and the kind of exhausted professionalism that came from seeing too many broken families and not enough resources to fix them. Her name was Patricia Vance, 42, divorced. 2 kids of her own she barely saw because the state paid her to save other people's children while hers grew up with babysitters. She looked at the 80 Harleys parked around Emily Parker's lemonade stand and reached for her phone. Logan saw her from across the parking lot, watched her fingers move toward her pocket, watched the calculation happening behind her eyes. Bikers plus child equals trouble. Simple math. The kind that got cases escalated and families ripped apart. He crossed the distance in 4 strides. Bull stepped up beside him, unified front. The way they'd done it in Kandahar when the brass showed up asking questions about civilian casualties and operational parameters. "Ma'am," Logan said, kept his voice neutral, non-threatening. "Can I help you?" Patricia looked up, saw 2 massive men in leather vests blocking her path to the lemonade stand, saw the patches, the ink, the scars, saw exactly what she expected to see, danger dressed in chrome and attitude. "I'm here to speak with Emily Parker," she said, clipped, professional, scared underneath but hiding it well. "Child welfare check. I'll need you to step aside." "On whose authority?" Bull asked. "The state of California. Now move or I'll call the police." "Police are already here." Bull nodded toward the 3 cruisers parked at the corner. "Been here since 6 this morning. Haven't found anything worth arresting anyone over." Patricia's jaw tightened. She looked past them toward the lemonade stand where Emily stood beside her mother, both wrapped in blankets, both looking hollowed out from exhaustion and stress, and 3 months of fighting a battle they were losing inch by inch. "That child's welfare is my responsibility," Patricia said. "That child's safety is ours," Logan replied, "and we're not moving until we understand what you're planning to do here." "I'm planning to ensure she's in a safe environment, which, given the current circumstances," Patricia gestured at the assembled bikers, "seems highly questionable." Bull laughed. No humor in it, just bitter recognition of how the world worked. "You think we're the danger? Lady, we're the only thing standing between that girl and the man who was beating her mother every Thursday night." Patricia went still. "What man?" "The one Emily cracked with a skillet yesterday morning. The one whose blood was all over her dress when Logan found her standing barefoot in a parking lot at 5 a.m. holding stolen money because she was trying to buy her mom's cancer medication." The color drained from Patricia's face. She looked at Emily again, saw the girl differently now. Not a victim of biker violence, a victim trying to survive in a world that had already failed her a dozen times over. "Where's the man now?" Patricia asked. "Don't know," Logan said. "Don't care. He's gone. That's what matters. If there was an assault, it needs to be reported. To who? Bull's voice went hard. Dangerous. Cops who'd arrest a 9-year-old for defending her mother? Social workers who'd put Emily in foster care while her mom dies alone from cancer? The system that's been ignoring Sarah Parker's calls for help for 3 months because she doesn't have insurance and can't afford a lawyer? Patricia flinched, hit too close to truth she carried every day. The knowledge that the system she represented was broken. That children fell through cracks wide enough to swallow entire families. That sometimes the best she could do was minimize damage instead of actually fixing anything. I still need to interview the child, she said quietly. Fine. Logan stepped aside. But we stay. You want to talk to Emily, you do it with witnesses present. Because I've seen what happens when social workers get scared children alone in rooms and start asking leading questions that build cases instead of finding truth. Patricia met his eyes, recognized something there, trauma, authority issues, the kind of distrust that came from watching systems fail people who deserved better. You military? She asked. Was. What branch? Marines, infantry, 2 tours. Patricia nodded slowly. My brother was Army, Fallujah. Came back different. Started self-medicating. System failed him too. Most brothers I know got the same story, Logan said. Different details. Same ending. Something shifted in Patricia's expression. Not trust, but maybe understanding. The recognition that everyone in this parking lot, bikers, social workers, cops, cancer patients, 9-year-old girls, was fighting the same war against systems that chewed people up and spit out statistics. Okay, she said, you can stay. But if I determine that child is in danger, I'm removing her. Understood? Understood, Bull said. And if you try to remove her without cause, you'll have to go through every man here. Also understood? Patricia looked at the 80 riders, looked at Logan and Bull, looked at Emily standing beside her mother, holding her hand, both of them watching this negotiation with the hollow-eyed desperation of people who'd run out of options. Let's just talk first, Patricia said. Day 10. The interview happened at the lemonade stand. Emily sat on a folding chair. Sarah Parker beside her, oxygen tank hissing softly, face gray beneath fluorescent parking lot lights. Patricia sat across from them. Logan and Bull stood 10 feet back, close enough to intervene, far enough to give the illusion of privacy. 20 bikers formed a loose perimeter. The rest had dispersed to handle club business and maintain enough presence in town to send a message. We're here, we're staying, and we're not the enemy. Patricia pulled out a notebook, clicked her pen. Looked at Emily with the kind of practiced gentleness that came from years of interviewing traumatized children. Emily, she said softly, I'm Patricia. I work for the state. My job is to make sure kids are safe and healthy. Can you tell me what happened yesterday? Emily looked at her mother. Sarah nodded weakly. Permission or resignation. Hard to tell which. A man was hurting my mom, Emily said. Voice flat. Affect dead. The shock still hadn't fully worn off. I made him stop. How did you make him stop? Hit him with a skillet. Patricia wrote that down. Where did you hit him? Face. Did he fall down? Yes. Did he get back up? I don't know. I left. Where did you go? Emily gestured at the lemonade stand. Here. I needed to open the stand. We need money for Mom's medication. Patricia looked at Sarah. Mrs. Parker, were you aware your daughter left the apartment yesterday morning? Sarah's hands trembled. No, I was asleep. The chemo makes me sleep a lot. Were you aware of the man Emily mentioned, the one who was hurting you? Sarah's jaw worked. Shame and anger and exhaustion fighting for control. Yes. Did you report it to police? No. Why not? Because I'm dying. Sarah's voice cracked, raw truth bleeding through. Because I got maybe 6 months left and I need every second with my daughter and I can't afford to make waves or fight battles I can't win. So I let him come. Let him do what he wanted. Told myself it was just temporary. Just until the cancer finished what it started. Patricia's pen stopped moving. She looked at Sarah with something like recognition. The same exhausted calculation. The same impossible math. Survival versus dignity. Safety versus surrender. The man, Patricia said carefully. Do you know his name? Marcus Webb. He's my landlord. The words landed like grenades. Logan felt his hands curl into fists. Bull's breathing changed, shallow, controlled, combat breathing. The kind that kept you from doing something stupid when the red mist dropped. Marcus Webb, the landlord, the man who held Sarah Parker's housing over her head like a weapon. The man who'd been raping a dying woman because he could, because she was vulnerable, because the system gave men like him power and women like Sarah no recourse. Patricia's face went white. Your landlord was sexually assaulting you? Yes. How long? 3 months. Since I couldn't make rent anymore. And Emily witnessed this? Sarah closed her eyes. Tears leaked out. I tried to hide it. Tried to keep her away on Thursdays, but yesterday she came home early from school. Found him in the apartment. Found me. Her voice broke. Found me too weak to fight back. Patricia turned to Emily. Sweetheart, I need you to tell me the truth. Did you kill Marcus Webb? Emily's face stayed blank. I don't know. Did you check if he was breathing? No. Why not? Because I didn't care. Emily looked directly at Patricia. No shame, no apology. He was hurting my mom. I made him stop. If he died, good. If he didn't, I hope he learned something. The honesty was brutal. 9 years old and already operating on survival logic that most adults never had to learn. Patricia had interviewed hundreds of abused children, seen every variation of trauma response. But this cold, clear-eyed acceptance of violence as necessary, was different. This was a child who'd already crossed lines most people spent their whole lives avoiding. Emily, Patricia said gently, you understand that hurting people is wrong, right? Hurting people who hurt other people isn't wrong, Emily replied. It's justice. That's not how the law works. Then the law is broken. Patricia couldn't argue with that. She'd spent 20 years watching the law fail to protect the exact people it was supposed to serve. Watching loopholes and technicalities and bureaucratic inertia let predators walk while victims drowned. She looked at Logan. Did you know about Marcus Webb? Not until 5 minutes ago, Logan said, voice like gravel. But I know now. What are you planning to do with that information? Logan smiled, no warmth in it, just the promise of violence wrapped in leather and chrome. Nothing illegal. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting. Patricia closed her notebook. She'd learned enough. More than enough. Emily Parker wasn't in danger from the bikers. She was in danger from a system that had already abandoned her and a landlord who'd weaponized her mother's desperation. The question was what to do about it. Mrs. Parker, Patricia said, I'm required to file a report about this situation. That report will trigger an investigation into Marcus Webb and potentially into your living arrangements. Sarah's face crumpled. Please don't take my daughter. I'm not planning to, but I need to ensure Emily has a safe place to live while this gets sorted out. This is safe, Sarah insisted. We're safe now. The bikers, they're protecting us. Patricia looked at the assembled riders, looked at Logan and Bull, looked at 80 men who'd dropped everything to surround a lemonade stand because one of their own had asked. For how long? She asked quietly. How long can they stay here? How long before they have to leave and you're alone again? Sarah didn't have an answer. Patricia stood. I'm not removing Emily today, but I will be back in 72 hours to reassess the situation. In the meantime, I strongly suggest you find more permanent housing arrangements and cooperate fully with the police investigation into Marcus Webb. There won't be an investigation, Logan said. Patricia turned. Excuse me? Marcus Webb won't be pressing charges. He won't be making statements. He's going to quietly disappear from Sarah and Emily's lives and never come back. You can't guarantee that. Watch me. The temperature in the parking lot dropped 10 degrees. Patricia saw it in Logan's eyes. The absolute certainty. The willingness to do whatever it took. The kind of conviction that came from men who'd already made peace with violence and knew exactly how to deploy it. If anything happens to Marcus Webb, Patricia said carefully, I'll know who to look at first. Nothing's going to happen to him, Bull interjected. He's just going to have a change of heart about his business practices. Real sudden-like. Patricia wanted to argue, wanted to threaten consequences, wanted to remind them that vigilante justice was still justice and the law didn't care about good intentions. But she looked at Emily. at Sarah, at two people who'd been failed by every legitimate system designed to protect them. And she made a choice that would probably cost her job if anyone ever found out. 72 hours, she repeated. Figure it out by then. She walked back to her sedan, sat behind the wheel for a long moment, then drove away without calling her supervisor. Logan watched the taillights disappear, felt Bull's hand on his shoulder. We need to move fast, Bull said. Webb's going to wake up eventually. When he does, he'll either run to the cops or come back with friends. Either way, we got maybe 6 hours before this gets messy. I know. So what's the play? Logan looked at Emily, at Sarah, at two people who'd become his responsibility the moment he stopped in that parking lot. The moment he'd seen himself and his daughter reflected in a 9-year-old girl's 1,000-yard stare. We pay Marcus Webb a visit, Logan said. Make sure he understands the new rules. Just a visit? Just a conversation, Bull smiled. I'll bring Reaper and Smoke. They're real good at conversations. No? Logan shook his head. This one's mine. I found Emily. I brought the club into this. I finish it. Logan, alone, Bull. I need to do this alone. Bull studied his face, saw something there that made him step back. Recognition. The look men got when they decided to cross a line and weren't asking permission anymore. You sure about this? Bull asked quietly. No. Logan pulled his keys from his pocket. But I'm doing it anyway. If you're not back in 4 hours, I'm sending the whole club to pull you out. Fair. Logan walked to his Harley. Emily ran after him. Where are you going? She asked. To have a conversation. With Marcus? Yeah. Emily grabbed his arm, small hand on scarred forearm. Don't kill him. Logan looked down at her. Why not? Because then you'll be just like him, and I need you to be better. The words hit harder than any punch Logan had ever taken. This girl, this 9-year-old survivor, was asking him to be the man he'd stopped being somewhere between Kandahar and the divorce papers, the man his daughter used to believe in before he proved her wrong. I'll try, he said. Promise me. Logan crouched down, looked Emily in the eyes. I promise I won't kill him, but I can't promise he won't wish I had. Emily considered this, nodded slowly. That's fair. She let go of his arm. Logan stood, kicked his Harley to life. The engine roared. Thunder in the early afternoon. He pulled out of the parking lot without looking back. Bull watched him go. Felt a bad feeling settling in his gut. The kind that came before everything went sideways. The kind that meant body counts and police reports. And the kind of consequences that followed you home. Reaper, Bull called. Smoke, follow him. Hang back. Don't interfere unless it goes bad. Two riders peeled off. Engines roaring. Shadows following Logan into whatever darkness he was riding toward. Sarah Parker stood beside Emily. Watched the Harleys disappear down Hollister's main street. Is he going to hurt Marcus? Yeah, Emily said quietly. He is. Should we stop him? Emily thought about Marcus Webb's hands on her mother, about the bruises, the shame, the way her mom had stopped looking in mirrors because she couldn't stand seeing what was looking back. No, Emily said. We shouldn't. Marcus Webb lived in a 2-story house on the edge of Hollister. Nice place. Neat lawn, white picket fence, the kind of house that screamed respectable citizen while hiding rot underneath fresh paint. Logan parked his Harley across the street, killed the engine, sat in silence while rage and purpose battled for control inside his chest. He'd made Emily a promise. No killing. He intended to keep it. But promises had loopholes, and Logan knew exactly how to operate inside those spaces. He crossed the street, walked up the driveway, tried the front door, unlocked. Stupid. Men like Marcus Webb never expected consequences to show up at their doorstep. Logan stepped inside. The house smelled like air freshener and something darker underneath. Fear, sweat, blood. Marcus was here, probably upstairs, probably nursing injuries and planning his next move. Logan climbed the stairs, boots heavy on carpet. No point being quiet. He wanted Marcus to hear him coming, wanted the fear to build. He found Marcus in the master bedroom, sitting on the bed, face swollen, nose clearly broken, eyes wide with recognition and terror. "You," Marcus whispered. "Me," Logan confirmed. Marcus lunged for the nightstand. Logan crossed the room in 2 strides, grabbed Marcus's wrist, twisted, bone ground against bone. Marcus screamed. Logan pulled him off the bed, shoved him against the wall. Hard enough to crack drywall. Not hard enough to break anything, yet. "We need to talk," Logan said, voice calm, controlled, the way drill instructors talked before they broke you. "Get out of my house." Logan's forearm pressed against Marcus's throat, cut off the words, cut off the air. Marcus clawed at Logan's arm, useless, like fighting iron. "You're going to listen," Logan said, "because I'm only saying this once. Sarah Parker and her daughter are off limits. You don't visit. You don't call. You don't collect rent. You don't exist in their world anymore." Marcus's face turned red, purple. He nodded frantically. Logan eased the pressure. Let him breathe. Watched him gasp and cough and understand how close he'd just come to dying. "You're going to sign over the deed to their apartment," Logan continued. "Free and clear. No strings. No payments. They're home. Permanently." That's theft. The pressure returned, harder this time. Marcus's eyes bulged. "It's justice," Logan said, "for 3 months of rape, for bruises, for terror, for a 9-year-old girl having to defend her dying mother because the system you're part of failed them both." He released Marcus. Let him slide down the wall, gasping, choking, understanding dawning behind the pain. "If I do this," Marcus wheezed, "you'll leave me alone? If you do this, and if you leave town, and if I never hear your name again, then yeah, I'll leave you alone. And if I don't," Logan smiled, "then I come back. And next time I won't make promises to little girls about keeping you breathing." Marcus looked into Logan's eyes, saw the truth there, the absolute certainty, the willingness to cross any line necessary to protect people who'd somehow become his responsibility. "There's paperwork," Marcus said quietly, "at my office. I'll sign it. Just let me go. We'll go together, right now. You sign the papers. I watch. Then you pack a bag and get the fuck out of California." Marcus nodded. Defeated. Broken. Understanding that sometimes predators became prey, and there was no appealing to systems when those systems had already failed. Logan pulled him to his feet, walked him downstairs, into the garage. Marcus's hands shook as he unlocked his car. They drove to his office in silence. Marcus signed papers with a pen that kept slipping in his sweaty grip. Logan watched every signature, every initial, making sure there were no loopholes, no escape clauses. When it was done, Logan took the deed, folded it carefully, put it in his vest pocket. "You've got 2 hours to pack and leave," Logan said. "After that, I release your name to every biker, veteran, and domestic violence advocate in California, along with photos of what you did to Sarah Parker. And then we see how long you survive." Marcus's face went white. "You're insane." "No," Logan said quietly. "I'm just tired of watching good people suffer while men like you get away with it." He left Marcus sitting in his office chair, walked out into afternoon sunlight, pulled out his phone, called Bull. "It's done," Logan said. "He alive?" "Yeah." "You okay?" Logan thought about that, about Emily's hands on his arm, her voice asking him to be better, about the promise he'd kept and the lines he'd danced right up to without crossing. "Ask me tomorrow," he said. He hung up, rode back to the lemonade stand, felt something heavy settling in his chest. Not regret, not satisfaction, just the weight of choices made and consequences still coming. By the time Logan returned, the parking lot had transformed. News crews had multiplied. Satellite trucks lined the street. Reporters shouted questions at anyone who got close. The story had gone viral. Small town, motorcycle gang, cancer patient, 9-year-old girl. Perfect ingredients for media-feeding frenzy. Emily sat at the lemonade stand serving cups to a line of customers that stretched around the block. Not just bikers anymore. Regular people. Families. Teenagers. Everyone wanting to be part of something they didn't fully understand but recognized as important. Sarah sat beside her daughter. Oxygen tank hissing. Face pale but determined. Together they poured lemonade and made change and held on to something fragile and good while cameras flashed and reporters spun narratives that had nothing to do with truth. Logan parked his bike. Bull intercepted him before he reached the stand. "We got a problem," Bull said. "What kind?" "The kind that comes with badges and warrants. City Council called an emergency meeting. They're talking about shutting down the stand, claiming permit violations and public safety concerns." "When's the meeting?" "Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., City Hall." Logan looked at Emily, at the line of customers, at the impromptu community that had formed around a crooked lemonade stand and a dying woman's daughter. "Then we show up," he said. "All of us?" "Every rider, every cut, every patch. We flood that council meeting and we make them look at what they're trying to destroy." Bull grinned. "Feral, dangerous. Now you're talking my language." "But peaceful," Logan added. "No threats, no violence. We sit, we listen, we let Emily speak for herself." "You think a 9-year-old's going to change their minds?" Logan thought about Emily standing in a parking lot covered in blood, about her cold assessment of violence as justice, about her asking him to be better because she needed to believe better was possible. "Yeah," he said, "I do." Bull clapped him on the shoulder. "Then let's give her the chance." Logan walked to the lemonade stand. Emily looked up, saw him, smiled. The first real smile he'd seen on her face since they'd met. "You came back," she said. "Said I would." "Did you hurt him?" "Not as much as he deserved." Emily nodded, accepted that, poured Logan a cup of lemonade. Still too sweet, still served with hands that shook slightly but held together anyway. "The news people keep asking questions," Emily said. "About you, about the club, about why bikers care about a lemonade stand." "What are you telling them?" "The truth, that you showed up when nobody else did." Logan took the cup, drank, let the sweetness cut through the bitter taste in his mouth. "City Council wants to shut you down." Emily's jaw tightened. "Can they do that?" "They can try. But we're going to that meeting tomorrow night, all of us, and we're going to make them explain why helping people is suddenly illegal." "What if they don't listen?" "Then we make enough noise they can't ignore us." Sarah leaned forward. "Logan, I appreciate everything you've done, but maybe we should just let it go. Close the stand, find another way. I don't want Emily caught in the middle of a war between bikers and the city." "She's already in the middle," Logan said gently. "Question is whether we fight or surrender. And I didn't ride back here to watch good people give up." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I'm dying. 6 months, maybe less. When I'm gone, Emily's going to be alone, and all this—" She gestured at the bikers, the cameras, the chaos. "All this just makes her more visible, more vulnerable. I need to know she'll be safe when I can't protect her anymore." Logan crouched down, brought himself to eye level with Sarah Parker, looked at this woman who was fighting cancer and landlords and poverty and still somehow finding strength to worry about her daughter's future. "She won't be alone," Logan said. "Club takes care of its own, and Emily's ours now. That means she's got 80 brothers who'll show up when she calls. For the rest of her life, that's the promise." "You can't promise that." "I just did." Sarah searched his face, looking for the lie, the angle, the moment when this all fell apart like everything else in her life had fallen apart. She didn't find it. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." Logan stood, handed the deed to Sarah. "Your apartment, paid off. No more rent. No more Marcus Webb. It's yours." Sarah stared at the paper. "How?" "Don't ask questions you don't want answered." Understanding dawned. Sarah's hands trembled as she took the deed, as she realized what Logan had done, what he'd risked, what lines he'd crossed to give her daughter a home. "Thank you," she said. Logan nodded, turned to leave. "Logan," Emily called. He stopped. "At the meeting tomorrow. Can I speak?" "You want to?" "Yeah, I want to tell them what happened, all of it, no lies, no hiding." Logan studied her face, saw determination there, courage, the same steel core that let her stand in parking lots covered in blood and still believe kindness mattered. "Your call," he said. "But whatever you say, we're behind you." Emily nodded. "Then I'll say everything." That night, while Emily and Sarah slept in their apartment for the first time in months, without fear of Marcus Webb breaking down the door, Logan sat in the clubhouse with Bull and 20 other riders, planning strategy for the council meeting. The clubhouse smelled like motor oil and cigarette smoke and old leather, pool table in the corner, bar along one wall, photographs covering the other walls. Dead brothers, fallen patches, ghosts who'd ridden beside them and never made it home. Logan stared at one photo in particular. Himself, 10 years younger, standing beside his daughter on her 9th birthday. Both smiling, both pretending everything was fine when it absolutely wasn't. "You see it too," Bull said. Sat down beside Logan, 2 beers in hand, passed one over. "See what?" "Your kid in Emily's face." Logan took the beer, didn't drink it. "Yeah." "That why you're doing this? Second chance at getting it right?" "Maybe. Does it matter?" "Might." Bull leaned back. "Because second chances don't work if you're trying to fix the past instead of building something new." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Means Emily's not your daughter, and saving her won't bring back the relationship you lost." Logan's jaw tightened. "I know that." "Do you?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you're treating this like redemption. And redemption's a dangerous reason to fight. Makes you sloppy. Makes you take risks you wouldn't otherwise take. I made the girl a promise. Promises to strangers are easy. Promises to family are what cost you." Logan turned, looked at Bull, at his chapter president, his brother, the man who'd pulled him out of a bottle 6 years ago and given him a place to belong when he had nowhere else to go. "You saying I should walk away?" "I'm saying you should know why you're staying. Because tomorrow night, when we roll 80 deep into City Hall, we're putting the entire club on the line, and I need to know you're doing this for the right reasons." "What are the right reasons?" Bull smiled. "Damned if I know, but wrong reasons get people killed, and I'm too old to bury more brothers." Logan drank his beer. Let the bitterness wash away some of the guilt. "Emily asked me to be better. Better than Marcus Webb, better than the system that failed her, better than whoever I was before I found her in that parking lot." "Can you be?" "I don't know, but I'm going to try." Bull nodded, satisfied. "Then we ride together tomorrow. All of us. And we see if an outlaw motorcycle club can teach a city council what justice actually looks like." They sat in silence, drinking beer, watching smoke curl toward the ceiling, both knowing that tomorrow would change everything. The council meetings were supposed to be bureaucratic and boring and safe, but nothing stayed safe when 80 bikers showed up demanding to be heard. Across town, Patricia Vance sat in her office reviewing Emily Parker's case file. The details painted a picture she'd seen 1,000 times before. Single mother, terminal illness, financial desperation, child forced into adult responsibilities, predatory landlord, no support system. Except this time there was a support system. 80 leather-clad, tattooed, dangerous-looking men who'd surrounded a lemonade stand and refused to leave. Patricia's supervisor had already called twice asking about the situation, asking why she hadn't removed the child, asking what the hell she was thinking leaving a 9-year-old in the care of a motorcycle gang. She didn't have good answers. Didn't have any answers. Just a gut feeling that removing Emily would cause more harm than leaving her with people who actually gave a damn whether she survived. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Vance," she answered. "Ms. Vance? This is City Councilman Robert Pierce. I understand you've been investigating a situation involving Emily Parker and certain motorcycle club members." Patricia's stomach dropped. Politicians calling social workers never meant anything good. "Yes, sir. I conducted an interview this morning." "And your assessment?" "The child appears stable. The mother is terminally ill but coherent. The biker presence is unconventional but not immediately harmful." Not immediately harmful. Pierce's voice carried the tone of a man preparing to make someone else's problem disappear. "Ms. Vance, we have 80 criminals occupying a residential area. We have news coverage painting our city as lawless. We have concerned citizens flooding our offices demanding action. Your assessment of not immediately harmful isn't going to cut it. With respect, sir, removing this child from her mother during terminal cancer treatment would cause significant psychological harm. Which is why we're not removing her. We're removing the catalyst for this entire situation." Patricia went cold. "What catalyst?" "The lemonade stand. Tomorrow night, the council is voting to enforce existing permit laws and shut down unauthorized street vendors, effective immediately. You can't. We can, and we will. The child can see her mother, but she cannot operate an illegal business that attracts dangerous elements to residential neighborhoods. Those dangerous elements are the only reason that child and her mother are still alive. That's an opinion, Ms. Vance, not a fact, and it's certainly not grounds for allowing illegal activity to continue. Patricia felt rage building, the same rage she felt every time she watched bureaucracy crush people who were already barely surviving. "What do you want from me?" she asked. "I want you to file a report recommending the immediate closure of the lemonade stand on child welfare grounds. You're concerned about Emily's safety given the current environment. You believe removing the stand will de-escalate tensions and allow the family to heal privately. I don't believe that. Then find a belief system that works better with your career trajectory." The threat was clear: play along or face consequences. Patricia looked at Emily's file, at the 9-year-old girl who'd defended her mother with a skillet, who'd stood in parking lots covered in blood because nobody else was coming to help, who'd built a lemonade stand to save her dying mother and somehow gathered an army of broken men who saw in her something worth protecting. "No," Patricia said. "Excuse me? I said no. I won't file that report. Emily Parker is safer now than she's been in months. And if the council wants to shut down her stand, they'll have to do it without using child welfare as an excuse." Silence on the other end. Then Pierce's voice, colder now, harder. "You're making a mistake, Ms. Vance." "Probably. But it's my mistake to make." She hung up, sat in the silence of her office, realized she'd just ended her career. 20 years of service, gone. Because she'd chosen one girl over the system that paid her salary. But when she looked at Emily's photo in the case file, that fierce, damaged, determined face, Patricia couldn't bring herself to regret it. Some fights were worth losing everything for. Morning came cold and gray. Logan woke in the clubhouse to his phone buzzing. Text from Emily. "They're coming," he called her immediately. "Who's coming?" "Police. They're outside with papers. They say the stand has to close today." Logan was on his feet, pulling on boots, grabbing his vest. "Don't open the door. Don't sign anything. I'm 5 minutes away." He hung up, roared through the clubhouse. "Wake up! We got trouble!" Bikers emerged from various rooms in various states of consciousness. Bull appeared, already dressed, already alert. Combat reflexes never faded. "What's happening?" "They're moving on Emily, now, before the meeting." Bull's face went hard. "Smart. Take away the stand before we can make our case. Gather everyone. We ride now." 10 minutes later, 40 Harleys rolled through Hollister's streets. Early morning. Engines shattering the peace, chrome flashing under streetlights not yet killed by dawn. They reached Emily's apartment to find 3 police cruisers parked outside, officers standing at Sarah Parker's door, warrant in hand, looking uncomfortable but determined. Logan killed his engine. Walked to the nearest officer. Badge read Martinez. 28, maybe 30. Still young enough to believe the law meant justice. "What's this about?" Logan asked. "Permit violation. The lemonade stand operates without proper licensing. We have orders to shut it down." "On whose authority?" "City Council. Emergency vote this morning. Passed unanimously." Bull stepped up beside Logan. "Thought the vote was tonight." Martinez shrugged. "They moved it up. Something about public safety requiring immediate action." "Public safety." Bull laughed, bitter. "Code for getting rid of problems before anyone can complain." Martinez's jaw tightened. "I'm just doing my job." "So were the guards at Nuremberg," Logan said quietly. Martinez flinched. "That's not fair. Fair went out the window when they started attacking a dying woman's daughter. You want to shut down the stand? Fine. But you do it by the book, with proper notice, with a chance to appeal, not with a pre-dawn raid designed to avoid public scrutiny." "I have a warrant. Let me see it." Martinez handed over the paperwork. Logan read it carefully, looking for loopholes, technicalities, anything that would buy them time. He found it buried in the 3rd paragraph. The warrant specified the closure of unauthorized street vendor operations at the location of 442 Maple Street. Emily's apartment was 440 Maple. "This warrant's for the wrong address," Logan said. Martinez took it back. Read it. Went pale. That's a clerical error." That's an invalid warrant, which means you don't have authority to shut down anything, which means you need to leave before this becomes an illegal search. Martinez looked at his fellow officers. They looked back, all of them knowing this was about to get complicated, all of them knowing that 40 bikers versus 3 cops wasn't math that ended well for anyone. "I need to call my supervisor," Martinez said. "You do that." Martinez walked to his cruiser, made the call, returned 5 minutes later looking even more uncomfortable. "We're leaving," he said, "but we'll be back with a corrected warrant by end of business today." "We'll be waiting." The officers left, engines starting, taillights disappearing around corners, retreat that felt more like strategic withdrawal. Bull turned to Logan. "That buys us maybe 12 hours, then they come back with proper paperwork and 50 cops instead of 3. Then we use those 12 hours. Logan looked at the assembled riders, at his brothers, at men who'd dropped everything to answer a call. "We don't wait for tonight's meeting. We take this fight to them now." "How?" Logan pulled out his phone, started making calls. First to Patricia Vance, then to the local news stations, then to every veteran organization, domestic violence shelter, and community advocate in a 50-mile radius. "We flood City Hall," he said between calls. "We make so much noise they can't ignore us. We turn this into a national story, and we force them to answer one simple question: why are you trying to destroy a little girl's hope?" Bull grinned. "Now you're talking revolution." "No," Logan said. "I'm talking survival, because if we don't fight for Emily now, while people are watching, then we lose her the moment the cameras look away." He finished his calls, looked at Bull, at the club, at men who'd spent their lives being feared and hated and treated like criminals regardless of what they actually did. "This is it," Logan said. "This is where we prove we're more than our patches, more than our past, more than what the world expects from outlaws and broken men." "What are we then?" someone asked from the back. Logan thought about Emily standing in a parking lot covered in blood, about Sarah Parker fighting cancer and landlords and poverty, about Patricia Vance ending her career to protect one girl, about all the people who'd been abandoned by systems designed to help them. "We're what shows up when nobody else will," he said. The riders erupted, engines roaring, fists pumping, war cry building from 40 throats. They mounted their bikes, prepared to ride, not to a meeting, not to a negotiation, to a war. And in her apartment, Emily Parker heard the engines and understood that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is ask broken men to be better. Because when they decided to try, nothing, not cops, not councils, not the entire system designed to crush hope, could stand in their way. But what Emily didn't know, what nobody could have predicted, was that the city had already made its own decision, and it involved removing Sarah Parker from her daughter's life by any means necessary. The ambulance arrived at Sarah Parker's apartment at 11:47 a.m. No sirens, no lights, just a white vehicle sliding through Hollister streets like a ghost, paramedics moving with the practiced efficiency of people executing a plan they'd rehearsed. Emily saw them from the window, felt ice spread through her chest. "Mom?" she said. "There's an ambulance outside." Sarah looked up from the couch where she'd been resting, oxygen tank hissing beside her, face gray with exhaustion and something else now, fear, recognition. "I didn't call them," Sarah whispered. The paramedics knocked, official, insistent. Emily opened the door with Logan's leather jacket still wrapped around her shoulders, drowning in fabric that smelled like motor oil and roads she'd never traveled. 2 men stood there, uniforms clean, faces neutral. One carried a clipboard, the other carried a medical bag. "Emily Parker?" the first one said. "Yes. We're here for your mother, Sarah Parker. We have orders for emergency transport to County General." Emily's stomach dropped. "She doesn't need transport. She's fine. That's not what the medical directive says." He showed her the clipboard. Official letterhead, doctor's signature. Words like immediate intervention and patient welfare and legal authorization. Sarah appeared behind Emily, leaning heavily on the doorframe. "I didn't sign anything. I didn't authorize any transport." The paramedic's expression didn't change. "The authorization came from the county medical board, based on a welfare report filed this morning citing concerns about your treatment compliance and living conditions." "What concerns?" I'm taking my medication. I'm following my treatment plan. Ma'am, I'm just following orders. If you have questions about the directive, you can file an appeal once you're at the hospital. Logan's Harley roared into the parking lot. He'd been 2 blocks away when Emily's text came through. 3 words. They're taking Mom. He killed the engine. Boots hitting pavement. Crossed the distance in 4 strides. Saw the ambulance. Saw the paramedics. Saw Emily and Sarah both looking terrified. What's happening? Logan demanded. The paramedic turned. Saw 6'4" of leather and scar tissue and barely controlled rage. His hand moved toward his radio instinctively. Sir, this is a medical transport. Please step back. Medical transport requires patient consent. Does Sarah Parker consent? The county has legal authority. I asked if she consents. The paramedic's jaw tightened. No, she doesn't. But the directive overrides her consent based on mental competency concerns. Logan felt something snap inside his chest. Mental competency? She's got cancer, not dementia. The report cites erratic decision-making, specifically allowing her minor daughter to associate with known criminal elements. The words landed like bullets. Logan understood immediately. This wasn't medical intervention. This was removal. The city couldn't shut down the lemonade stand with Emily and Sarah united, so they were separating them, claiming Sarah was incompetent, taking her into custody under medical pretense. Bull's Harley pulled up. Then Reapers. Then Smokes. Within 90 seconds, 20 bikers had materialized around the apartment, a wall of leather and chrome between the paramedics and their target. You're not taking her, Logan said quietly. Sir, obstructing medical personnel is a felony. So is kidnapping, which is what this is. The paramedic reached for his radio. Bull's hand closed around his wrist, gentle, firm, the kind of grip that communicated volumes without saying a word. Let's not escalate, Bull said. Let's just think this through. You take Sarah Parker against her will, you're going to have a situation. Cops will come. Media will come. And suddenly this whole thing becomes a story about a city forcing a dying woman away from her daughter right before she testifies at a council meeting. The paramedic hesitated, calculating, weighing orders against consequences. His radio crackled. Unit 4, what's your status? He looked at Bull's hand on his wrist, at the assembled bikers, at Emily clutching her mother's hand like a lifeline. Status is complicated, he said into the radio. We have a refusal of transport and significant civilian presence, requesting supervisor guidance. Static, then a new voice, older, authority. Unit 4, you have legal authorization. Execute the transport. Sir, the situation is potentially volatile. Then request police backup, but get it done. The paramedic's face went pale. He understood what was being ordered. Escalate to force if necessary. Turn this into a confrontation. Logan heard it too, saw the moment the paramedic made his decision, saw him step back, saw him choose self-preservation over following orders. I'm not doing this, the paramedic said. I'm a medical professional, not a cop. You want to forcibly remove someone, send the police. He walked back to the ambulance. His partner followed. They drove away without looking back. Emily sagged against her mother. Sarah wrapped arms around her daughter, both shaking, both understanding this was just the opening move. Logan pulled out his phone, called Patricia Vance. She answered on the first ring. They just tried to take Sarah, Logan said. Medical transport. Claimed she was incompetent. Patricia went silent. Then, Jesus. They're moving faster than I thought. You knew about this? I knew they'd try something. I didn't know it would be this. Papers rustled on her end. The medical directive was filed at 9 a.m. this morning by Dr. Richard Westbrook. He's the county medical examiner, also happens to be Councilman Pierce's brother-in-law. Logan felt cold spread through his chest. They're connected. Everything's connected. The council, the police, the medical board. They've been planning this since your club showed up yesterday. They're treating Emily and Sarah like a PR problem that needs to be disappeared before it gets worse. What happens when the police come? They'll have a court order. Probably cite Sarah as a danger to herself and Emily as a child in need of protective custody. 2 birds, 1 stone. Both gone before tonight's meeting. Can you stop it? Patricia laughed, bitter, exhausted. I'm a social worker who just refused to file a report my supervisor ordered. I've got 0 authority and negative credibility right now. Then what do we do? You run. Take Sarah and Emily somewhere safe. somewhere the city can't reach. Buy time to fight this properly. Logan looked at Sarah, at the oxygen tank, at her gray face and trembling hands. She can't run. She's dying. She needs medical care. Then you're out of options. Because the second those cops arrive with that court order, Sarah goes to county lockup on medical hold, and Emily goes into emergency foster placement. And once they're in the system, getting them out takes months. Months Sarah doesn't have. Logan felt the trap closing, felt the walls coming in. The city had done its math, used the system against people who had no resources to fight back. Clean, legal, completely brutal. There's got to be another way, he said. There isn't. Not one that doesn't end with you in prison and the club destroyed. Patricia's voice softened. Logan, I know what you want to do, but you can't fight this with force. They're waiting for you to make a move that justifies bringing in SWAT and shutting down the entire chapter. So we just surrender? No. You get Sarah and Emily to a hospital willingly. You control the narrative. You bring media. You make it look like you're cooperating. And you use the time to find a lawyer who can untangle this mess. Logan wanted to argue, wanted to fight, wanted to do what he'd always done when trapped, break things until a path opened. But Emily was watching him, waiting, trusting him to be better than his instincts. Okay, he said quietly. We'll do it your way. He hung up, turned to Bull. We need to move Sarah to a hospital, now, before the cops arrive with a court order. Bull understood immediately. You take her. We'll provide escort. Make it look like a medical emergency, not an extraction. Where do we take her? St. Catherine's, 20 miles north, private facility. They're not connected to county. And I know a doctor there who owes me a favor. Logan nodded, started organizing the move. But something was bothering him, something Patricia had said. The way she'd described the plan, too detailed, too specific, like she'd known exactly how the city would move. He pushed the thought aside, focused on Sarah, on getting her and Emily somewhere safe. Within 10 minutes, they had Sarah in the back of Bull's truck, Emily beside her, oxygen tank secured, 20 Harleys forming escort formation. They rolled out of Hollister with engines thundering, a convoy of leather and chrome and defiance moving through California streets towards something that looked like safety but felt wrong in ways Logan couldn't articulate. Bus. St. Catherine's Hospital sat on the edge of wine country, clean, modern, expensive. The kind of place that catered to people with insurance and money and problems that could be solved with enough of both. Bull's doctor contact met them at a private entrance. Dr. Raymond Chen, early 50s, tired eyes, the look of someone who'd seen enough suffering to stop judging how people survived it. Bull, he said, then looked at Sarah. This the patient? Yeah, stage 4. Needs a safe place to receive treatment while some legal issues get sorted. Dr. Chen didn't ask what legal issues, didn't question why a dying woman needed protection from her own city, just gestured them inside. They got Sarah settled in a private room. Emily refused to leave her side. Sat in the chair beside the bed, holding her mother's hand while nurses hooked up monitors and adjusted IV lines. Logan stood in the doorway watching, feeling the weight of choices made and consequences still coming. Bull appeared beside him. This doesn't feel right, Logan said quietly. What part? All of it, the timing, the coordination, the way they knew exactly how to trap us. Bull crossed his arms. You thinking someone leaked our plans? I'm thinking someone's been feeding information to the city since this started. Someone who knows how we operate, how we think, how we'd respond to threats against Emily and Sarah. Who? Logan thought about Patricia Vance, about her convenient calls, her detailed knowledge of the city's moves, her suggestion to bring Sarah to a hospital. I don't know, he said, but I'm going to find out. His phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. You need to see this. Underground parking, level 2, come alone. Logan showed Bull the message. Trap? Probably. You going anyway? Yeah. Want backup? Stay with Emily and Sarah. Something happens to me. Get them out of California. Take them to the Nevada chapter. Keep them safe. Bull gripped Logan's shoulder. Don't do anything stupid. Too late for that. Logan took the elevator down. Fluorescent lights flickering. Muzak playing softly. The descent felt symbolic. Going underground. Into darkness. Toward truth that would probably hurt worse than lies. The parking garage was empty, concrete pillars, yellow lines, cars scattered like monuments to normal people living normal lives. A figure stood beside a black sedan, Patricia Vance. Logan's hand moved toward the knife on his belt. Instinct. Patricia raised her hands. I'm not armed. I'm not a threat. I just need you to listen. To what? More lies about how you're trying to help? To the truth about who's really behind this. Patricia pulled out her phone, showed him a photograph. Recognize him? Logan looked at the screen, felt his blood turn to ice. Marcus Webb. Standing beside Councilman Pierce, both smiling, dated 3 days ago. Webb didn't leave town, Patricia said quietly. He went to the city council, told them everything, about Sarah, about Emily, about you and the club, and he made them an offer. Help him get revenge, and he'd give them ammunition to shut down the lemonade stand and run the bikers out of Hollister permanently. Logan's voice came out flat, dead. You knew about this, I found out this morning, after the medical directive was filed, after I realized the whole thing was coordinated. Webb wanted Sarah declared incompetent so he could testify that she was too unstable to care for Emily. Pierce wanted the club gone because you make his city look dangerous. They made a deal. Why are you telling me this? Because I thought you deserved to know who's really pulling the strings. And because, Patricia hesitated, because Webb's not done. He's planning something for tonight, during the council meeting, something that will make the club look violent and give the city justification for a full crackdown. Logan felt rage building, the kind that made vision narrow and hands shake and combat instincts rise like floodwater. What's he planning? I don't know, but he met with someone yesterday. Former military, demolitions expert, dishonorable discharge for assault, the kind of man who does work that leaves bodies. The words hit Logan like shrapnel. Webb wasn't just going after Emily and Sarah, he was going after the club, setting them up, creating a situation that would justify police violence. Where's Webb now? Logan asked. I don't know, he's been moving around different hotels, using cash. He's scared of you finding him. He should be. Patricia stepped closer. Logan, listen to me. If you go after Webb, you give them exactly what they want. A violent biker attacking a citizen. It'll destroy everything you've built, everything Emily believes about you being better. Then what do you suggest? Let me handle it. I can go to the district attorney, present evidence of the conspiracy, force an investigation. That takes time. Time we don't have, time Sarah doesn't have. Logan pulled out his phone, started texting Bull. Simple message. Webb's still in play, setting us up. Find him. Patricia grabbed his arm. Please, don't do this. There's another way. Logan looked at her hand on his arm, at her face, at the desperation there, and something clicked. A connection he should have seen earlier. You're related to him, Logan said. To Webb. That's why you know so much. That's why you're really here. Patricia's face crumpled, truth bleeding through. He's my brother. Half-brother. Different mothers. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years, not since he... She stopped, swallowed. Not since I found out what kind of man he really was. Logan felt the world shift, realign. Everything Patricia had done suddenly looked different. The interviews, the calls, the convenient information. Not help. Manipulation. Keeping the club close while her brother planned their destruction. You've been playing both sides, Logan said quietly. No, I've been trying to stop him. To protect Emily and Sarah while keeping you from doing something that gets everyone killed. By lying. By surviving, same as you. Patricia's voice cracked. Marcus is my blood, but that doesn't mean I'm on his side. I chose my career over family 20 years ago when I reported our father for abuse. I chose protecting strangers' children over my own brother when I testified against him in an assault case. And I'm choosing Emily over Marcus now. But I can't stop him alone. Logan wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that someone in this mess was actually trying to do the right thing for the right reasons. But trust was expensive, and he'd already spent too much of it. Where would Webb go? He asked. If he's planning something for tonight, where would he stage it? Patricia closed her eyes. Calculating. City Hall has underground access, service tunnels. He used to work maintenance there before he bought his rental properties. He knows every entrance, every weakness. You think he's planning to attack the building? I think he's planning to make it look like you are. Plant evidence. Create a situation where cops have to respond with force. Turn the meeting into a war zone and blame the club for starting it. Logan's phone buzzed. Bull. Found him. Motel 6 on Highway 46, room 114. Want me to move? Logan typed back, no, watch him. I'm coming. He looked at Patricia. You're coming with me. Why? Because I don't trust you, but I trust Webb less. And if this goes wrong, I want someone who can testify that I tried to do things the right way before it all went to hell. Patricia nodded slowly, understanding what he wasn't saying, that this might end in violence regardless of intentions, that witnesses mattered when everything collapsed. They drove in silence, Patricia's sedan following Logan's Harley through California back roads toward a motel that probably rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions about cash payments. Bull was waiting in the parking lot, 5 other riders with him, engines idling, ready. He's inside, Bull said. Hasn't moved in 2 hours. What's the play? Logan looked at the motel. Cracked stucco. Flickering vacancy sign, the kind of place people disappeared into when they'd run out of better options. We talk to him, Logan said. We find out what he's planning, and then we decide what to do about it. And if he doesn't want to talk, Logan's jaw tightened. Then we make him want to. They approached room 114. Bull on the left, Logan on the right, Patricia behind them. The rest of the riders forming a loose perimeter. Logan knocked. Marcus Webb, open up. We need to talk. No response. Logan knocked again. Harder. Webb, I know you're in there, and I know what you're planning. Open the door or we open it for you. Still nothing. Bull pulled out a lockpick, worked it for 30 seconds. The door clicked open. The room was empty. No luggage, no clothes, no sign anyone had been there at all. Logan felt ice spread through his chest. Bull, it's a setup, Bull said, already moving, already pulling his weapon. He knew we'd come. He wanted us here, away from... The explosion hit St. Catherine's Hospital 12 miles away at exactly 3:47 p.m. The sound reached them 5 seconds later. Distant thunder. Too sharp. Too concentrated. Not weather. Ordnance. Logan's phone erupted. Multiple texts. Emily. Something exploded. We're okay. Mom's okay. But the building's on fire. Bull's phone. Reaper calling. Voice tight with controlled panic. Boss, we got a situation. Someone bombed the hospital, East Wing, near where we brought Sarah. Cops and fire department are rolling in. They're asking about the club. Asking if we brought explosives. Logan felt the trap snap shut. Webb hadn't been hiding in the motel. He'd been at the hospital, planting charges, creating the exact scenario Patricia had warned about, violence that could be blamed on the club. Get everyone out, Logan ordered. Now, before cops start making arrests. He ran for his Harley, Patricia running beside him. Both understanding they'd been played. Both understanding that whatever happened next would define whether Emily Parker's faith in broken men trying to be better had been misplaced. The ride back to St. Catherine's felt like falling. 12 miles through wine country that looked too beautiful for the ugliness happening inside it. Logan pushed the Harley to its limits. Engine screaming, wind cutting like razors. They arrived to chaos. Fire trucks, police cruisers, ambulances, media vans already circling like vultures, smoke rising from the East Wing, not enough to mean catastrophic damage, just enough to mean terror. Logan found Emily in the parking lot, wrapped in a blanket, face pale. Sarah beside her in a wheelchair, both alive, both shaking. Where were you? Emily demanded, voice sharp, accusatory. You said you'd protect us. You said... I know what I said. Logan crouched down, met her eyes. And I'm going to keep that promise. But I need you to tell me exactly what happened. A man. He came to Mom's room, said he was a maintenance, checking the oxygen lines. But I saw... Emily's voice cracked. I saw him put something behind the wall panel, and when I told the nurse, she called security, and then the whole wall exploded. Did you see his face? No. He wore a maintenance uniform and a baseball cap. But his hands... Emily grabbed Logan's arm. His hands had the same ring as the man who used to hurt my mom. Gold, with a weird symbol. Logan's blood turned to ice. Marcus Webb's college ring, distinctive, identifiable. Webb had been here, in Sarah's room, planting explosives while Emily watched, and he'd gotten away. Bull appeared, face grim. Cops are asking questions, wanting to know why there's 20 bikers at a hospital that just got bombed. It's not looking good. Did anyone see Webb leave? Negative, but I got Reaper checking security footage. A police lieutenant approached, badge reading Sandoval, late 40s, hard eyes. The look of someone who'd decided bikers were guilty before evidence said otherwise. You Logan Mitchell? He asked. Yeah, I need you and your associates to come with me. We have questions about an explosion. We didn't... Save it. You can explain downtown, all of you, now. Logan looked at Emily, at Sarah, at Patricia standing uselessly beside them, at the trap Webb had built and the system ready to spring it. He could run, take the club and disappear into the desert. Let Emily and Sarah face this alone. Or he could stay. Face arrest. Trust that truth would matter more than perception. Emily's hand found his, small, trembling, holding on like he was the only solid thing in a world coming apart. Don't leave, she whispered. Logan looked at the lieutenant, at the assembled police, at the inevitable consequences. Okay, he said, we'll come. But Emily and Sarah stay here. They get medical care. They don't get dragged into whatever circus you're planning downtown. Sandoval considered this, nodded. Fair. But you and your club, you're coming in cuffs. Logan extended his wrists, felt cold metal close around them, felt Bull and the others being cuffed beside him, felt Emily's hand slip away as police separated them. The last thing he saw before being pushed into a cruiser was Emily's face, watching him leave, watching another person who'd promised to stay disappear into systems designed to break people. And he understood with terrible clarity that Marcus Webb had won, not by destroying the club, by making Emily believe that everyone, even the dangerous men who'd tried to be better, eventually abandoned her when it mattered most. The cruiser pulled away. Logan watched the hospital shrink in the rear-view mirror, watched Emily become smaller, more distant, more alone. And he knew that whatever happened next, interrogation, charges, prison, the real damage had already been done. He'd failed the girl who'd asked him to be better. And some failures you never came back from. The interrogation room smelled like disinfectant and fear. Concrete walls, metal table bolted to the floor, mirror on one wall that fooled nobody. Logan sat with his hands cuffed to a steel ring, watching Lieutenant Sandoval flip through a folder thick with photographs and accusations. Explosive residue, Sandoval said, dropped a photo on the table. Found on your motorcycle. Care to explain that? Logan didn't look at the photo, kept his eyes on Sandoval's face, reading the tells, the way his jaw worked, the tension in his shoulders. This wasn't investigation. This was performance. Building a case that had already been decided. I want a lawyer, Logan said. You'll get one. After you explain why 20 bikers showed up at a hospital right before someone planted a bomb. We brought a dying woman for treatment. Convenient timing. Convenient for who? Sandoval leaned forward. You think this is a game? A woman nearly died today. Hospital staff evacuated in panic. You and your club are the only ones with motive to attack that building. What motive? Retaliation. The city shuts down your little charity project, so you strike back. Send a message. Show everyone what happens when you cross the motorcycle club. Logan laughed. No humor in it. Just recognition of how perfectly Webb had orchestrated this. You actually believe that? You think we'd bomb a hospital with Sarah Parker and her daughter inside? The same people we've been protecting? I think desperate men do desperate things. And you, Logan Mitchell, look pretty desperate right now. The door opened. A detective entered carrying another folder. Younger, eager. The kind who saw arrests as career advancement instead of justice. Lieutenant, the detective said, we got results from the security footage. Sandoval took the folder, opened it. His expression shifted. Not satisfaction. Confusion. Logan saw it. The crack in the performance. Something in that footage didn't match the script they'd been handed. What? Logan asked. Sandoval ignored him. Looked at the detective. You sure about this? Positive. Ran it 3 times. Timestamp's clear. And the facial recognition match is 97%. Sandoval closed the folder. set it on the table, stared at Logan with something that looked almost like apology. The bomber, Sandoval said slowly, was Marcus Webb, landlord, no criminal record before yesterday. And according to this, he tapped the folder, he entered Sarah Parker's room at 3:22 p.m., planted the device at 3:31, left the building at 3:39. Explosion occurred at 3:47. Logan felt something shift inside his chest. Not relief, not vindication, just cold calculation of what this meant. "So you're releasing me," Logan said. "No. We're holding you on suspicion of conspiracy because Marcus Webb's financials show a wire transfer of $50,000 3 days ago from an account registered to Bull Cordell, president of your motorcycle club." The words hit like a fist. Logan's mind raced. Bull wouldn't, couldn't. They'd been brothers for 6 years, fought together, bled together, built the club's charity work together. But $50,000 was a lot of money. And Bull had secrets, parts of his life from before the club that he never talked about, connections to people and places that predated brotherhood. "That's impossible," Logan said. "Bank records don't lie." "Then someone faked them," Sandoval smiled. "That's what every guilty man says." The door opened again. This time it was a woman in an expensive suit, lawyer. She looked at Sandoval with the kind of disdain that came from knowing exactly how much law enforcement hated defense attorneys who actually did their job. "My client's done talking," she said. "Unless you're charging him, release him, now." Sandoval stood. "He's being held on conspiracy to commit domestic terrorism. Based on what evidence? Fake bank records and proximity to a crime scene? That's not conspiracy. That's fabrication. And unless you have actual proof my client coordinated with Marcus Webb, you're violating his constitutional rights." "Who hired you?" Sandoval demanded. The lawyer smiled. "Does it matter? My client gets representation. Or do Hollister PD's interrogation tactics include denying legal counsel?" Sandoval's jaw worked. He looked at Logan, at the lawyer, at the case falling apart before formal charges could even be filed. "You've got 24 hours, he said to Logan. "Then we're coming after you and your club with everything we have. Understand?" Logan understood. 24 hours to find Webb, to prove the setup, to save Emily and Sarah before the city manufactured enough evidence to bury the entire club. The lawyer led Logan out through a maze of hallways. Cops watched them pass, some with suspicion, some with something else. Recognition, like they'd seen this movie before and knew how it ended. Outside, the lawyer turned to Logan. "You have friends in interesting places. Who sent you?" "Patricia Vance said you'd need help navigating legal waters that were deliberately muddied." She handed Logan a business card. "I'm Rebecca Torres. I specialize in defending people the system's already decided are guilty. And according to Patricia, you're about to become Hollister's most wanted." "Where's the rest of my club?" "Released an hour ago. Insufficient evidence. But they're being watched, followed. Sandoval assigned every available unit to surveillance. They're waiting for you to make a mistake." Logan pulled out his phone. 12 missed calls from Bull, 8 from Reaper, 23 text messages. All variations of the same question. "Where are you? What's happening? Are we clear?" He called Bull, answered on the first ring. "Logan, where are you?" "Clubhouse. Whole crew's here. We need to talk." "About the 50,000? Silence. Then Bull's voice, quieter, dangerous. "You know about that? Cops showed me bank records, said you paid Webb, said this whole thing was a setup we orchestrated." "That's a lie." "Then where'd the money come from?" More silence. Logan heard voices in the background, arguments, accusations, the club fragmenting under pressure. "I can explain," Bull said, "but not over the phone. Get here, now." The line went dead. Rebecca watched Logan's face. "You trust him?" "I don't know anymore." "Then maybe you shouldn't go to the clubhouse alone." Logan looked at her, at this stranger who'd appeared exactly when needed, another convenient coincidence in a story full of them. "Why are you really helping me?" "Because Patricia Vance is the only social worker in 20 years who actually gave a damn about my daughter when she ended up in the system, and she asked me to return the favor by keeping you alive long enough to finish what you started with Emily Parker." Truth. Finally. Something that rang genuine instead of calculated. "Okay," Logan said, "but I'm going to the clubhouse. with or without backup. Because if Bull's dirty, I need to know. And if he's not, then someone's setting him up the same way they set us up at the hospital. And if it's a trap, then I walk into it with my eyes open. Logan mounted his Harley. Rebecca climbed into her car. They drove through Hollister streets that felt different now. Hostile, like the whole city had turned against them overnight. What's it? The clubhouse sat on the edge of town. Old warehouse converted into sanctuary. The place where broken men came to remember they were still human. Where patches and leather meant family instead of fear. 40 Harleys lined the parking lot. Every rider in the chapter present. Engines cold. Riders inside, waiting. Logan killed his engine. Rebecca parked beside him. Both approached the door knowing this could go a dozen different ways. None of them good. Inside, the air felt electric. Tense. Bull stood at the bar, Reaper and Smoke flanking him. 20 other riders scattered throughout the room, all watching Logan enter, all calculating loyalties. "Lock the door," Bull said. Reaper moved to comply. Rebecca stepped in before he could. "The door stays open," she said. "My client's not getting trapped in a room with no exits." Bull looked at her, then at Logan. "You brought a lawyer to Brotherhood business? You brought $50,000 to a bomber. We all made choices." Bull's face went hard. He pulled a flash drive from his vest, tossed it to Logan. "Look at that before you accuse me of anything." Logan caught the drive. "What is it?" "The truth. About where that money came from, about who's really behind this, and about why they want both of us destroyed before Emily Parker gets the chance to speak at tonight's council meeting." Logan looked around the room, found a laptop, plugged in the drive. Files opened. Bank records, wire transfers, shell companies, and beneath it all, a name that made Logan's blood run cold. Robert Pierce, city councilman, Marcus Webb's brother-in-law. The record showed Pierce funneling money through multiple accounts. $50,000 to Webb for consulting services dated 2 weeks ago. Another $100,000 to a security firm that didn't exist, and a final transfer of $200,000 to an offshore account registered to Patricia Vance. Logan felt the world tilt. He looked at Rebecca. "You know about this?" Rebecca's face had gone pale. "No, Patricia wouldn't." "The money says different." Bull stepped forward. "I've been tracking Pierce for 3 months, ever since he tried to run the club out of Hollister by manufacturing code violations. The $50,000 the cops say came from me? That was Pierce washing money through my accounts to make me look dirty. Same way he's been washing it through Patricia Vance. Same way he's been using Webb as a weapon to destroy anyone who threatens his control of this city." Logan's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "You have 2 hours before the council meeting. Webb will be there, so will Pierce. And if you show up with your club, they'll arrest everyone. But if you don't show up, Emily loses her only chance to fight back. Choose wisely." Bull saw Logan's expression. "What?" Logan showed him the message. Bull's jaw tightened. "It's another trap," Reaper said. "They're baiting us, wanting us to ride in hot so they can justify a crackdown. Or they're telling the truth," Smoke countered, "and Emily's about to face a rigged meeting alone." Arguments erupted, riders shouting, accusations flying, the club fracturing under pressure exactly the way Pierce had planned. Logan's phone rang. "Emily." He answered. "You okay?" "Logan." Her voice was small, scared. "Mom's getting worse. The doctors say the stress from the explosion accelerated her decline. She's not going to make it to the meeting." Logan felt his heart stop. "Where are you?" "Still at St. Catherine's, but they're saying we need to leave. Something about legal issues with our coverage. They want to transfer Mom to County General." "Don't let them move her. We're coming." "Logan." Sarah's voice now, weak, barely audible. "Don't come here. Go to the meeting. Speak for Emily. Tell them," coughing, wet, painful, "tell them we're not going away. That love is stronger than fear. That—" The line went dead. Logan tried calling back. Straight to voicemail. He called the hospital, got transferred 3 times. Finally reached Sarah's floor. "I'm sorry," the nurse said. "Sarah Parker is in critical condition. She's been moved to ICU. No visitors except immediate family. Her daughter is being transferred to county services. Child Protective has a court order. They're picking her up in 30 minutes. The trap snapped shut. Pierce wasn't just attacking the club. He was using Sarah's collapse to remove Emily from the equation entirely. By the time the council meeting started, Emily would be in a foster home. Sarah would be dying alone, and the club would be scattered, surveilled, unable to respond without triggering mass arrests. Logan looked at Bull, at the assembled riders, at men who'd become brothers through violence and survival, and the shared understanding that the world didn't give a damn whether outlaws lived or died. "We ride," Logan said. "To where?" Bull asked. "Everywhere. Some of us go to the hospital. Extract Emily before CPS arrives. Some of us go to City Hall. Make sure Pierce and Webb can't hide behind closed doors. And some of us," Logan looked at Reaper and Smoke, "find Patricia Vance and make her explain whose side she's really on." "That splits us thin," Reaper said. "Makes us vulnerable." "We're already vulnerable. Question is whether we're vulnerable while fighting or vulnerable while hiding." Bull smiled. Feral. Dangerous. The look he got before combat. "I'll take the hospital. Emily knows me. She'll come willingly." "I'll take City Hall," Logan said. "Make sure Pierce and Webb understand we're not backing down." "And us?" Smoke asked. "Find Vance. She's the key to this. She knew about Pierce, about Webb, about the money, which means she's either a victim or an accomplice. Either way, we need her testimony." Rebecca stepped forward. "If you assault a city councilman, I can't protect you." Not asking for protection, asking for you to document everything, record it, live stream it. Make sure if they destroy us, at least the truth gets out. Rebecca pulled out her phone. "I'll stream to every news outlet in California. But Logan, once this starts, there's no stopping it. You understand that?" Logan thought about Emily, about Sarah dying alone, about a 9-year-old girl who'd asked him to be better, and was about to learn that sometimes being better meant being willing to burn everything down when the system left no other option. "I understand," he said. The riders moved. 40 men with 40 different missions, some heading to Harley's, some checking weapons, some making calls to lawyers and bail bondsmen and brothers and other chapters who might be needed before this night ended. Logan strapped a knife to his belt. Bull handed him a burner phone. "Untraceable. If something happens to your main line, use this. And Logan," Bull gripped his shoulder, "whatever happens tonight, we finish it. One way or another, Emily doesn't wake up tomorrow still fighting this battle." Agreed. They walked out together, mounted their bikes, engines roaring to life like war drums. The sound echoed through Hollister's streets. Thunder promising storm. Rebecca followed in her car, phone already streaming, commentary low and urgent. "This is Rebecca Torres, defense attorney, documenting an unfolding civil rights crisis in Hollister, California. What you're about to witness is either the defense of an innocent child against systematic corruption or the violent escalation of an outlaw motorcycle club. I'll let you decide which." St. Catherine's Hospital looked different in the dying light. Shadows longer, security tighter. Bull counted 6 police cruisers in the parking lot. Too many for coincidence. They were waiting. He parked 2 blocks away, called Logan. "Hospital's crawling with cops. They knew we'd come." "Can you get to Emily?" "Maybe, but extraction's going to be loud." "Make it loud. Make sure everyone's watching the hospital instead of City Hall." Bull hung up, looked at the 8 riders who'd come with him. "We're the distraction. That means we draw fire. Keep it non-lethal, keep it visible, and keep it moving until Logan gives the signal that Emily's clear." They rode in formation, slow, deliberate. Engines rumbling, 9 Harleys rolling into St. Catherine's parking lot like an invasion force. Police responded immediately. Officers emerging from cruisers, hands on weapons, radios crackling. Bull killed his engine, stood, hands visible, non-threatening. "We're here to visit Sarah Parker, ICU. We're family." The lead officer stepped forward, same Lieutenant Sandoval from the interrogation. "You're not family, and you're not welcome. Leave now or face arrest." "On what charge?" "Trespassing. Disturbing the peace. I'll think of more if you make me." Bull smiled. "You do that. Think real hard while we exercise our legal right to visit a dying woman." He started walking toward the hospital entrance. The other riders followed, boots on asphalt, leather creaking, moving as one. Sandoval blocked their path. "I said leave, and I said make me." The standoff held for 5 seconds. 10. Officers reaching for weapons, riders standing ground, everyone waiting for someone else to move first. Then Bull's phone rang. Logan. He answered on speaker. I'm at City Hall, Logan said. Pierce and Webb are both here. About to start the meeting. Where's Emily? Working on it. Work faster. Bull looked at Sandoval. Last chance. Let us through or this gets ugly. You're threatening an officer. Bull's fist connected with Sandoval's jaw before he finished the sentence. Not hard enough to do real damage, just hard enough to send a message. Chaos erupted. Officers rushing in, riders scattering, fists flying, radios screaming for backup. Bull used the confusion to slip past the line, sprinted for the hospital entrance, made it inside before anyone could stop him. Hospital security moved to intercept. He bowled through them, took the stairs 3 at a time. ICU on the 4th floor. He found Sarah's room, monitors beeping, machines keeping her alive. Emily sat beside the bed holding her mother's hand, both crying, both knowing time was running out. Bull, Emily said, relief flooding her face. We're leaving, now. I can't. Mom needs me. Your mom needs you alive and free, not trapped in a system that's using her to control you. Bull looked at Sarah, at her gray face and failing body and eyes that still held fierce determination. Sarah, I promise I'll keep Emily safe, but I need your permission to take her. Sarah's hand trembled as she reached for Emily's face. Go, baby. Fight. Don't let them win. Mom, I love you. Always. Now go. Bull scooped Emily up. She struggled for a second, then went limp, trusting. The way children trusted when all other options had failed. He carried her out of the room. Down the hall. Alarms blaring now. Security converging. Police flooding the stairwells. Bull kicked open a service door, found the fire escape. Started descending with Emily clinging to his back. 4 floors. Metal stairs ringing under boots. Sirens getting louder. They hit the ground level. Bull's Harley was 60 feet away, officers between them and freedom. Bull set Emily down. Run when I say run. Don't look back, don't stop. Get to the bike and hold on. What about you? I'll be right behind you. He wasn't. When Emily ran, Bull turned to face the officers, drew their attention, let them tackle him instead of pursuing the girl. Emily reached the Harley, mounted, small hands gripping the handlebars like lifelines. Reaper appeared from nowhere, scooped her up, transferred her to his bike. Hold tight, little sister. Engine roared. They were gone before police could regroup, disappearing into Hollister streets while Bull lay on the pavement with 3 cops on his back and handcuffs closing around his wrists. He smiled, blood on his teeth. Mission accomplished. City Hall's council chamber filled slowly. Citizens taking seats, media setting up cameras. Pierce sat at the head of the table looking confident. Webb stood in the back corner, face still swollen from Emily's skillet, watching the door like a predator waiting for prey. Logan entered at 6:55 p.m., 5 minutes before the meeting started. Alone. No leather. No patches. Just jeans and a plain jacket and the kind of controlled rage that made the air temperature drop. Webb saw him. Went pale. Moved toward the exit. Logan was faster. Cut him off. Grabbed Webb's collar. Slammed him against the wall outside the chamber, hard enough to crack plaster. You and I need to talk, Logan said. Webb's hands came up, defensive, terrified. I'll scream. Cops will come. Let them. I want witnesses for this. Logan dragged Webb into a side room. Conference space. Empty. He shoved Webb into a chair, stood over him, looming. Why? Logan asked. Why what? Why Emily? Why Sarah? What did they do to you that was worth all this? Webb's face twisted. Rage and shame and something darker. They existed. They were in my building, in my space, and they thought being victims gave them rights, gave them power over me. So you raped Sarah. I collected what I was owed. Logan's fist connected with Webb's face, bone crunching, blood spraying. Webb toppled backward, chair clattering. And the bomb? Logan hauled Webb back up. That was collecting too? That was Pierce's idea. He said if we could frame the club, we could get rid of all of you. The bikers, the girl, the whole mess. Clean sweep. Where's Pierce now? Council chamber, waiting to start the meeting. He doesn't know you're here. Doesn't know. Webb's eyes widened. You're going to kill me. Logan wanted to. Every instinct screamed for it. But Emily's voice echoed, don't kill him, then you'll be just like him. No, Logan said. I'm going to let you live. So you can testify. Against Pierce, against everyone who helped you, and so you can spend the rest of your miserable life knowing you lost to a 9-year-old girl and the outlaws who loved her more than you ever loved anything. He left Webb bleeding on the floor, walked back to the council chamber, pushed through the doors. Every head turned. Pierce saw him, stood. Security! Remove this man! Sit down, Logan said, voice carrying, commanding. Because we're about to have a very public conversation about corruption, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Rebecca appeared into the doorway. Phone up, streaming. For those just joining, Logan Mitchell, member of a local motorcycle club, is confronting City Councilman Robert Pierce. This should be interesting. Pierce's face went white, then red. This is a closed session. Not anymore. Logan pulled out his own phone, started playing the recording Bull had made. Webb's voice, crystal clear, admitting to the bombing, naming Pierce as co-conspirator, detailing the whole plan. The chamber erupted, reporters shouting questions, citizens gasping, police officers standing frozen, unsure whose orders to follow. Pierce tried to run. Logan caught him, slammed him onto the council table, held him there while cameras flashed and Rebecca's live stream went viral. You tried to destroy a dying woman and her daughter, Logan said. You tried to frame my club for terrorism. You failed. And now everyone knows exactly what kind of man runs this city. Sandoval appeared, bloodied from the hospital fight. He looked at Pierce, at Logan, at the chaos. Let him go, Sandoval said. Logan released Pierce, stepped back, hands visible. Sandoval pulled out handcuffs, walked to Pierce. Robert Pierce, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit domestic terrorism, attempted murder, and about 50 other charges I'll think of on the way to the station. Pierce struggled. You can't. I'm a city councilman. You're a criminal, and you just got caught on camera. More police arrived, took Pierce away. Then came for Webb. Both men led out in cuffs while cameras documented every second. The chamber slowly quieted. Logan stood at the front, exhausted, bleeding from knuckles he didn't remember splitting. Rebecca approached. That was either very brave or very stupid, she said. Both. Logan's burner phone rang. Reaper. Got Emily. She's safe, but Bull's in custody, and Sarah... His voice cracked. Sarah's not going to make it through the night. Doctors say hours. Maybe less. Logan closed his eyes. They'd won the battle, exposed the corruption, saved Emily from the system. But they were losing Sarah. And without her, Emily would be alone, orphaned, vulnerable to a system that had already tried to destroy her once. Bring Emily to the hospital, Logan said. She needs to say goodbye. Cops are everywhere. I don't care. Bring her. I'll clear the path. He hung up. Looked at the assembled citizens and media and council members who remained. My name is Logan Mitchell, he said. 6 years ago, I came back from Afghanistan more broken than whole. I joined a motorcycle club because I needed brothers who understood what it meant to carry ghosts. And 3 days ago, I found a 9-year-old girl standing in a parking lot covered in blood because she'd defended her dying mother from a rapist landlord. And nobody, not the police, not social services, not this council, had shown up to help. So I did. And my club did. And we kept showing up. Even when it meant facing arrest. Even when it meant being labeled criminals. Because that little girl deserved better than a world that looked at her suffering and looked away. Sarah Parker is dying tonight. And when she's gone, Emily will need a family. I'm asking this community, the same community that tried to shut down her lemonade stand and remove her from her mother, to do better, to show up, to prove that love can be stronger than fear. Silence. Then one woman stood, then another, then a man. Within 30 seconds, half the chamber was on their feet, applauding, not for Logan, for Emily, for Sarah, for the idea that maybe, just maybe, broken people and broken systems could still be fixed if enough people refused to look away. Logan walked out, mounted his Harley, rode toward St. Catherine's Hospital, and a goodbye that would shatter whatever pieces of Emily Parker's childhood still remained intact. but also toward a tomorrow where 80 leather-clad, tattooed, dangerous men would stand between one orphaned girl and every demon still hunting her. Because sometimes family wasn't blood. Sometimes it was choice. And Logan Mitchell had made his. The ICU corridor at St. Catherine's Hospital stretched long and cold under fluorescent lights that hummed like dying insects. Logan walked past security guards who'd been told to stand down, past nurses who watched with exhausted sympathy, past the machinery of institutional care that kept bodies breathing long after souls had started their slow departure. Sarah Parker's room sat at the end, door half open. Machines beeping in rhythm with a heart that was running out of beats to give. Logan stopped at the threshold. Emily sat in the chair beside her mother's bed, small hand wrapped around Sarah's fingers, both of them connected by touch, because words had already failed. Reaper stood in the corner, massive and silent, keeping vigil the way soldiers did for fallen brothers. Sarah's eyes found Logan. Gray eyes that had once held fire, now fading to ash. She tried to speak, coughed instead. Wet. Painful. The sound of lungs drowning in fluid that medicine could slow but not stop. Emily looked up, tears streaming. She waited for you. Logan entered, approached the bed, crouched down so Sarah could see him without straining. Her hand reached out, trembling, and Logan took it. Scarred knuckles against dying skin. Connection that meant everything and nothing because time had run out for gratitude. "Emily?" Sarah whispered, voice like paper tearing. "Promise me." "Mom, don't." "Promise. You'll let them help you." Emily's face crumpled. "I don't want help. I want you." "I know, baby, but wanting doesn't change what's coming." Sarah's grip tightened on Logan's hand, surprising strength from someone so close to gone. "You. Keep her. Safe." Logan felt his throat close. "I will. From everything, the system, the predators, herself. I promise." Sarah's eyes held his, searching, making sure the promise was real. That this broken biker with ghosts in his eyes and violence in his history actually meant it when he swore to protect a girl he'd known for 3 days. She must have found what she needed. Her grip loosened. Her gaze shifted back to Emily. "You are stronger than you know," Sarah said, each word costing breath she couldn't spare. "You survived. Your father's death. My sickness. Marcus Webb. You'll survive. This too. Because you're my daughter and we don't quit." "I don't know how to do this without you," Emily sobbed. "Yes, you do. You've been doing it for months. I was just here to watch." Sarah smiled, faint, sad, proud. "You don't need me anymore. You just need to believe in yourself. The way Logan believed in you." The monitor's beeping changed, slower, irregular. Nurses appeared in the doorway. One looked at Logan, questioning whether to intervene. He shook his head. This was Sarah's choice, her timeline, her death on her terms. Emily climbed onto the bed, careful of the tubes and wires, laid her head on her mother's chest. "I love you, Mom. Love you more than breathing." Sarah's hand found Emily's hair, stroked it once, twice. "Be good, be strong, be happy. I'll try." That's all anyone can do. Sarah's eyes closed, her breathing slowed. 3 more breaths, 2, 1, then silence. The monitor flatlined, single tone that meant everything had stopped. Nurses moved in, professional, gentle, giving Emily 30 seconds to hold her mother before protocol demanded they check vitals and confirm what everyone already knew. Sarah Parker died at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in May, with her daughter in her arms and a biker's promise still hanging in the air like smoke. Emily didn't scream, didn't wail, just held on, face pressed against her mother's still chest, small body shaking with silent grief that had no words because words didn't exist for this kind of loss. Logan stood, backed away, gave them space, found Reaper in the hallway. "Bull?" Logan asked. "Still in custody, county jail. Rebecca's working on bail, but it's going to be at least 24 hours. And Patricia Vance?" Reaper's expression darkened. "Smoke found her. She's clean. The money trail was fabricated. Pierce set up the offshore account in her name to make her look dirty. She had no idea until we showed her the records. Where's she now? Giving a statement downtown, turning state's evidence against Pierce and Webb. DA says, with her testimony, both of them are looking at 20 years minimum. Logan nodded. Felt nothing. Pierce and Webb going to prison didn't bring Sarah back, didn't erase Emily's trauma, didn't fix the fundamental brokenness of systems that let predators thrive and victims drown. But it was something. Proof that occasionally, rarely, justice actually happened. Emily emerged from the room, face blank, shock setting in. The kind that came after adrenaline failed and reality arrived with all its sharp edges. What happens now? She asked. Voice flat, dead. 9 years old and already sounding like a soldier after her first firefight. Logan crouched down, met her eyes. Now we go home. I don't have a home. The apartment was Mom's, and Mom's... Her voice cracked. Mom's gone. You have the club. You have me. You have 80 brothers who'd burn this city down before they let you face this alone. That's not a home. That's a motorcycle gang. It's a family, Logan corrected. And family shows up, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when everyone else walks away. Emily stared at him, processing, calculating, making impossible choices with a brain too young to understand, but old enough to know she had no other options. Okay, she whispered. Okay. They left the hospital as dawn broke. Emily wrapped in Logan's jacket, Reaper carrying the small bag of Sarah's belongings that the nurses had collected. The three of them walking through a parking lot that looked different in morning light, less threatening, more tired. Logan's Harley waited where he'd left it. Emily climbed on behind him without being asked, small arms wrapping around his waist, holding on because holding on was all she had left. They rode through Hollister streets that were starting to wake. Delivery trucks making rounds, coffee shops opening, normal people beginning normal days while Emily Parker's world had ended and nobody even noticed. The clubhouse appeared ahead, Harleys lined up outside like iron sentries, riders emerging as Logan's engine echoed through the morning. Bull stood at the front, released an hour ago. Bail posted by a judge who'd seen Rebecca's live stream and decided maybe the bikers weren't the villains in this story. Logan killed the engine. Emily slid off. Stood facing 40 men in leather vests who looked like nightmares, but had spent 3 days proving they were something else. Bull approached slowly, crouched down. Hey, little sister, I'm sorry about your mom. Emily nodded, couldn't speak. The grief was too fresh, too raw. We got a room set up for you, Bull continued. Inside. It's not fancy, just a bed and some clothes we scrounged up. But it's yours, for as long as you need it. I'm staying here? At the clubhouse? Until we figure out something better. Rebecca's working with social services to get you temporary guardianship papers. Probably take a week, maybe 2. In the meantime, you're under club protection, which means you're safe, you're fed, and you're not alone. Emily looked at Logan. You're okay with this? Logan thought about his daughter, about the years he'd missed, the calls he'd ignored, the relationship he'd destroyed through absence and violence and choosing war over family, about how he'd failed one girl and maybe, just maybe, could do better with another. Yeah, he said, I'm okay with it. They led Emily inside. The clubhouse looked different in daylight, less intimidating. Just a warehouse full of broken furniture and old photographs and men who'd lived hard lives and carried scars to prove it. Someone had cleaned out a storage room, put in a twin bed, hung curtains over the small window, left clothes folded on a chair, children's books on a makeshift shelf, stuffed animals that looked donated. The kind of rough tenderness that came from men who didn't know how to be gentle, but were trying anyway. Emily sat on the bed, looked around. This is really mine? Really yours, Bull confirmed. What do I have to do? To pay for it? The question landed like a punch. Logan saw the calculation in Emily's eyes. The survival math she'd learned from Marcus Webb. The belief that everything came with a price and safety was always transactional. Nothing, Logan said firmly. You don't owe us anything. This isn't payment. This is family. Family isn't free. Sometimes it is. Sometimes people just show up because it's the right thing to do. Emily wanted to believe him. Logan could see it, the desperate hope fighting against years of evidence that the world didn't work that way. That help always came with strings. That protection was just another word for control. "I'm going to sleep," Emily said. Dismissal, defense mechanism. Shutting down before the grief could drown her. Logan nodded. "We'll be right outside if you need anything." He closed the door, left her alone with her grief and the stuffed animals, and the strange new reality that her mother was dead and her family was now a motorcycle club. The funeral happened 3 days later. Small service at a cemetery on the edge of Hollister. 20 people attended. Emily, Logan, Bull, a dozen other riders, Patricia Vance, Rebecca Torres, Dr. Chen from St. Catherine's, and Sarah's former co-worker from the diner who cried through the entire service. No casket. Sarah had wanted cremation. Ashes scattered at the lemonade stand where she'd spent her last months building something good with her daughter. The minister read generic words about eternal peace and comfort. Emily stood stone-faced through it all, holding Logan's hand, squeezing tight enough to hurt, anchoring herself to something solid while everything else felt like it was falling apart. When it ended, they drove to the lemonade stand. The crooked plywood structure still stood. Nobody had torn it down. The city had dropped the permit violations after Pierce's arrest. Left it alone. Memorial to a dying woman's hope. Emily opened the urn, ashes gray and fine, all that remained of Sarah Parker, a whole life reduced to powder. She scattered them slowly, wind-catching, carrying them across the parking lot, into the street, up toward sky, Sarah becoming part of the landscape she'd fought so hard to survive. "Goodbye, Mom," Emily whispered. Then she turned and walked back to Logan's Harley without looking back. Because looking back meant breaking, and Emily Parker had learned too well that breaking was a luxury she couldn't afford. The weeks that followed developed rhythm. Emily woke at the clubhouse, ate breakfast with riders who cooked like soldiers, functional, filling, occasionally edible, spent days with Patricia Vance working through trauma counseling and legal paperwork. Returned to the clubhouse each night where Logan helped with homework, and Bull told stories about the road, and slowly, carefully, Emily started to understand what family could mean when it wasn't defined by blood. The lemonade stand stayed open. Riders took turns running it on weekends. Money went to a nonprofit they'd established in Sarah's name, helping other families facing cancer and poverty and landlords who weaponized desperation. News coverage faded. Pierce and Webb's trial was scheduled for fall. Both denied bail, both facing decades in prison. Hollister moved on, forgot, the way cities always did when crisis became yesterday's headlines. But the club remembered, and every Saturday morning, Logan arrived at the lemonade stand before sunrise, set up the table, mixed the lemonade, waited for Emily to show up and take her place behind the counter. She always came, sometimes late, sometimes crying, sometimes angry at the unfairness of a world that took mothers and left daughters with motorcycle gangs as surrogate families. But she came. 6 months after Sarah's death, Logan found Emily sitting in the clubhouse garage at 2 a.m. Couldn't sleep. The anniversary of her father's death approaching. Grief stacking on grief until the weight became unbearable. "Can't sleep either?" Logan asked. Emily shook her head. "Keep having the same dream. About the night I hit Marcus Webb. Except in the dream I kill him. And everyone tells me it's okay, that he deserved it. But I know if I'd actually killed him, I'd be different. I'd be the kind of person who could do that and not care." Logan sat beside her. Two broken people in a garage full of motorcycles and ghosts. "You care. That's what makes you different from men like Webb. Caring costs, but it's the price of staying human. Is it worth it? The caring?" Logan thought about his daughter, about the calls he'd finally worked up courage to make 3 weeks ago. How she'd answered. How they'd talked for 2 hours. How she'd agreed to visit next month. How he was terrified he'd mess it up, but willing to try anyway because Emily had taught him that trying mattered more than succeeding. "Yeah," he said. "It's worth it." Emily leaned against him, small head on his shoulder. "I miss my mom." "I know. Does it get easier?" "No. But you get stronger, learn to carry it better." They sat in silence. Garage door open, night air cold. Somewhere in the distance, a Harley started. Someone heading out on a run. Living the life, carrying the same ghosts everyone carried, but refusing to let them win. Logan, Emily said quietly, thank you for not leaving, for keeping your promise. Logan felt his throat tighten. Thank you for giving me a reason to try being better. Are you better? Don't know yet. Ask me in 20 years. Emily smiled, faint, real. The first genuine smile Logan had seen since Sarah died. Okay, I will. 1 year after Sarah Parker's death, the Lemonade Stand hosted its biggest day ever, charity ride organized by the club. 300 motorcycles from chapters across California converging on Hollister to raise money for cancer patients who couldn't afford treatment. Emily stood behind the counter serving lemonade that was still slightly too sweet. 14 years old now, taller, harder, but still carrying that fierce determination that had caught Logan's attention 2 years ago in a parking lot. She'd testified at Pierce and Webb's trial, faced them both across a courtroom, told her story without flinching, watched them get sentenced to 23 and 27 years respectively, walked out knowing justice was imperfect, but sometimes it showed up anyway. Patricia Vance had been cleared of all charges, returned to her job, started working closely with the club's nonprofit, building bridges between social services and the biker community, proving that sometimes the most unlikely alliances created the most lasting change. Bull had officially become Emily's legal guardian. Paperwork finalized 3 months ago. She kept her last name, kept her mother's memory alive. But she had a family now. Structure, stability. Men who showed up for school events wearing leather vests and intimidated teachers until they realized these scary-looking bikers just wanted to make sure Emily had what she needed. Logan had reconnected with his daughter. Slow process. Painful. Years of damage didn't heal overnight, but they were trying. Meeting for coffee once a month, talking about safe subjects, building something new on the ruins of what had been destroyed, and sometimes his daughter and Emily hung out together. 2 girls abandoned by fathers learning to trust one man who decided being better was worth the constant effort. The charity ride ended at sunset. Motorcycles departing. Thunder rolling through Hollister streets one last time before silence returned. Emily counted the money. $12,000. Enough to help 3 families with medical bills. Enough to prove Sarah Parker's dream hadn't died when her body failed. Logan helped clean up. Folding tables, packing cups. The mundane work of maintaining hope. You think Mom would be proud? Emily asked. Logan looked at her. At this fierce, broken, resilient girl who'd survived more at 14 than most people faced in a lifetime. Who'd turned trauma into purpose. Who'd taught an entire motorcycle club what it meant to protect something pure in a world designed to destroy it. Yeah, Logan said. I think she'd be proud as hell. Emily nodded, satisfied. She pulled out a photograph from her pocket. Sarah at the lemonade stand, smiling, healthy, before the cancer returned, before everything fell apart, before she became a story instead of a person. I'm going to keep doing this, Emily said. The stand, the nonprofit, all of it, until every family like ours has someone who shows up when everyone else walks away. That's a lot of families. Then I better get started. Logan smiled, recognized the steel in her voice. The same steel that let her stand in parking lots covered in blood. The same steel that let her face down city councils and testify against monsters and survive grief that should have broken her. Sarah Parker had raised a warrior, and that warrior was just getting started. 3 years later, Emily Parker graduated high school. Top of her class. Full scholarship to UC Berkeley. Plans to study social work and nonprofit management. The Lemonade Stand had grown into a statewide organization helping hundreds of families annually. Logan sat in the audience at graduation watching her accept her diploma. Bull beside him, Reaper and Smoke behind them, 40 leather-clad bikers in a sea of proud parents, not fitting in, not trying to, just showing up because that's what family did. Emily's speech focused on her mother, on Sarah's courage, on the Lemonade Stand, on how sometimes the people society feared most, the outlaws and broken men, and those living on the margins, were the ones who showed up when respectable citizens looked away. The audience applauded, some uncomfortable with the message, others understanding that this 18-year-old girl was speaking truth they'd spent years avoiding. After the ceremony, Emily found Logan in the parking lot. You came, she said. Wouldn't miss it. Even though I basically called out the whole city in my speech? Especially because of that. Logan pulled an envelope from his vest. From the club, graduation present. Emily opened it. Deed to the apartment, the one Marcus Webb had signed over 3 years ago. The club had maintained it, kept it safe. Now it was Emily's. Officially, legally. We can't. This is too much. It's not a gift. It's yours. Always has been. We were just holding it until you were old enough to manage it yourself. Emily stared at the deed, at the address where she'd lived with her mother, where Sarah had fought cancer and Marcus Webb and poverty, where Emily had learned what survival cost. I don't know if I can go back there, she admitted. Too many memories. Then sell it, rent it, turn it into office space for the nonprofit. It's yours. Do what feels right. Emily folded the deed carefully, tucked it in her graduation gown. Thank you. For everything. For the past 3 years. For not giving up on me when I was impossible. You were never impossible, just grieving. There's a difference. Is there? I was pretty terrible. Logan laughed. Yeah, you were. But so was I. We're even. Emily hugged him, tight, the way daughters hugged fathers when words weren't enough. Logan hugged back, careful of his strength, mindful that this fierce girl was still smaller than she seemed, still carrying weight that would take years to fully set down. When they separated, Emily looked at the assembled bikers, her strange, violent, loyal family. I'm going to college, she said, but I'm coming back. On weekends. On breaks. This is home. You're home. That's not changing just because I'm leaving Hollister. Bull stepped forward. Little sister, you could move to the moon and you'd still be ours. Distance doesn't change family. Promise? Promise. The bikers gathered around Emily. Group hug that looked absurd. 40 grown men in leather vests surrounding one 18-year-old girl. But it felt right. Felt earned. 3 years of showing up, of learning to be gentle when the world demanded hardness, of proving that monsters could choose to be guardians if given a reason. 5 years later, Emily Parker stood in the same parking lot where her mother's lemonade stand had once sat. Now it was a community center. 3-story building. Medical clinic on the first floor, social services on the second. Nonprofit offices on the third. The Sarah Parker Memorial Center. Grand opening. Ribbon cutting. Politicians who'd once tried to destroy the lemonade stand now claiming credit for supporting it. Media covering the feel-good story about a girl who'd turned tragedy into purpose. Emily saw through the performance, but she smiled anyway, gave the speeches they wanted, let them feel good about themselves. Because the building was real, the services were real, and families who needed help would get it regardless of who took credit. Logan stood in the back, gray in his beard now, older, scarred in new ways from new roads, but still showing up, still keeping promises made to a dying woman in a hospital room. His daughter stood beside him, 23 now, working as a therapist, specializing in veteran care. The two of them had rebuilt something, not what they'd lost, something different, something earned through effort and honesty and the willingness to keep trying even when it was hard. After the ceremony, Emily found them. You came, she said. Always do, Logan replied. Emily looked at his daughter. Thanks for being here, Jess. I know you don't love crowds. Jess smiled. For you? I'll suffer through it. The three of them walked through the building, Emily explaining each room, each service, each way they were trying to fix systems that had failed her mother, that failed hundreds of mothers every year. They ended on the 3rd floor. Corner office overlooking the parking lot where the lemonade stand had been. Emily's office. Director of Operations. 23 years old and running an organization with a $2 million budget. Mom would lose her mind if she could see this, Emily said quietly. She'd be proud, Logan said. Same as I am. Emily turned. I never asked. Why did you stop that morning, 3 years ago, in the parking lot? You didn't know me. Didn't owe me anything. Why didn't you just keep writing? Logan had asked himself that question 1,000 times. Examined every angle, every motivation, every ghost that had made him capable of seeing a broken girl and recognizing himself. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe because I saw my daughter in you. Maybe because I was tired of running from every hard thing I'd ever faced. Maybe because sometimes you just know when it's time to stop, and the only choice is whether you're brave enough to actually do it. Are you glad you stopped? Logan looked at Emily, at this fierce, brilliant, wounded woman who'd survived more than most people could imagine, who'd turned grief into purpose, who'd taught a motorcycle club what it meant to love something more than yourself. Yeah, he said, best decision I ever made. Emily smiled, real, genuine, the smile of someone who'd made peace with their ghosts without forgetting they existed. Me too. 10 years after Sarah Parker's death, the lemonade stand returned. Not the original crooked plywood, a permanent structure now, part of the Memorial Center, run by volunteers on weekends, money still going to families in need. Emily ran it most Saturdays, same as always, serving lemonade that was still slightly too sweet, talking to customers. Sharing her mother's story with anyone who asked. Logan stopped by every week. First customer, always paying too much. Tradition that had lasted a decade and would last until one of them died. This particular Saturday was cold, November chill settling over Hollister. Emily wore Logan's old leather jacket, the one he'd wrapped around her shoulders when she was 9. It fit her now, worn soft, carrying a decade of road dust and memories. Logan pulled up on his Harley, older bike now. The original had finally died 3 years ago, but the new one sounded the same, rumbled with the same promise of roads stretching forever. "Morning, old man," Emily greeted. "Old man? I'm 47. "Exactly. Ancient." Logan smiled, ordered his lemonade, paid with a 20, waited for Emily to make change he wouldn't take. "How's Jess?" Emily asked. "Good. Engaged, wedding next spring. You're invited." "I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it." "She wants you in the wedding party. Bridesmaid, if you're comfortable with that." Emily felt her throat tighten. Jess had been a stranger 10 years ago, competition for Logan's attention. But over the years, they'd become something else. Sisters. Not by blood, by choice, by shared understanding of what it meant to love someone who was learning to be better after years of being broken. "I'd be honored," Emily said. Logan nodded, took his lemonade, leaned against the stand. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Hollister wake up, cars passing, people starting their days. Normal life that once seemed impossible when everything was crisis and survival. "You ever think about her?" Logan asked. "Your mom, about what she'd think of all this." "Every day," Emily admitted. "Sometimes I hear her voice, telling me I'm working too hard, that I need to rest, live my own life instead of spending it all helping strangers. She's probably right. Probably. But I can't stop. Because every family I help is one less girl standing in a parking lot at 5 a.m. covered in blood because nobody showed up to protect her mother." Logan understood, recognized the compulsion, the way trauma turned into purpose, the impossibility of stopping once you'd seen how broken the world was. "Your mom would still want you to be happy," he said, "not just useful. Happy." Emily considered this. "Are you happy?" "Getting there. Takes time. But yeah, I think so." "What changed?" Logan looked at her. At this woman he'd watched grow from traumatized child to fierce adult. "You did. You showed me what it looked like to choose being better even when being better cost everything. Made me think maybe I could do the same." "Did it work?" "Ask Jess. She's the one who had to forgive me for being a terrible father." "She forgave you?" "Yeah, she did. Don't know why. But I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve it." Emily poured herself a cup of lemonade, drank, grimaced. "This is terrible. Why do people keep buying it?" "Because it's not about the lemonade. Never was." "What's it about?" "Hope. Proof that sometimes good things survive. That your mom's dream didn't die when she did. That love can be stronger than fear if enough people refuse to give up." Emily looked at the Memorial Center, at the building that bore her mother's name, at the families streaming in and out, getting help, finding hope, surviving because someone had decided their survival mattered. "She did it," Emily said quietly. "Mom. She changed things. Changed Hollister. Changed me. Changed you. All with a crooked lemonade stand and a dying woman's stubborn refusal to let her daughter face the world alone." "She had help," Logan pointed out. From you. From the club. From people everyone said were dangerous. We are dangerous. Just turns out dangerous isn't the same as evil. Took the whole city a while to learn that. A Harley pulled into the parking lot. Then another. Then 20 more. The weekend charity ride. Monthly event now. Riders coming from across California to buy overpriced lemonade and support Sarah Parker's legacy. Bull dismounted. Older now. Gray beard. Moving slower. But still carrying that presence. That authority that came from men who'd survived things that should have killed them. "Little sister," he greeted Emily. "Not so little anymore, old man." Bull laughed, ordered his lemonade. The line formed behind him, riders and regular citizens mixing. No fear anymore. No suspicion, just people showing up on a Saturday morning to prove community could exist even in broken places. Emily worked the stand, pouring cups, making change, smiling. Alive in ways that seemed impossible 10 years ago when grief and trauma made every breath feel like drowning. Logan watched her work, felt something settle in his chest. Not peace, not quite, but maybe acceptance. The understanding that he'd kept his promise to Sarah Parker, that Emily had survived, thrived, become someone who made the world measurably better by existing in it. The sun rose higher, cold morning turning warm, lemonade flowing, money collecting, hope surviving another day. And beneath it all, the sound of Harley engines. Thunder that once meant fear but now meant family, meant showing up, meant refusing to let good people face darkness alone. Logan finished his lemonade, set the cup down, looked at Emily one more time. "I'm proud of you, kid." Emily's eyes glistened. "I'm proud of you too, for stopping that morning, for keeping your promise, for being better even when being better was hard. It was worth it." Yeah, it was. Logan mounted his Harley, kicked it to life, rode out of the parking lot with 40 other riders following, thunder rolling through Hollister streets, heading toward new roads, new stories, new broken people who might need dangerous men willing to be gentle. Behind them, Emily Parker stood at her mother's lemonade stand, serving hope one paper cup at a time, surrounded by a community that had learned the hardest lesson, that sometimes angels wear leather, carry scars, and arrive sounding like thunder. And sometimes a dying woman's love and a 9-year-old girl's courage could teach an entire city that family wasn't defined by blood. It was defined by who showed up when everyone else walked away. Sarah Parker had shown up for her daughter until her last breath. Logan Mitchell had shown up for a stranger in a parking lot, and Emily Parker was showing up every day for families still fighting battles that seemed impossible to win. The lemonade was still too sweet, the stand was still crooked, but hope survived. And that was enough.